call the meeting to order. We'll start with our flag salute. Annette, can you please take the roll?
Mrs. Parenti?
Here.
Mrs. Schuler?
Here.
Mrs. Bayachek?
Here.
Mr. Carnes?
Here.
Ms. Decker? Mr. Nicolai?
Here.
Mr. Quinn?
Here.
Mrs. Reynolds?
Here.
Mr. Thornton?
Here.
The New Jersey Open The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meeting of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed and acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Board Secretary has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted on the bulletin board located in the hallway outside of the administrative offices, and notice was provided to the Courier News, the Home News Tribune, and the Middlesex Borough Clerk. We will now open the public comment portion of the meeting. In the interest of time, and because we have board business to attend to, policy 0167, governing public comment sessions, will be strictly followed moving forward. Please have your comments prepared before coming to the podium, as each member of the public will be permitted to speak on 2 topics only, and will not be permitted to speak more than twice during each public comment session. Be advised that a question constitutes a topic for purposes of these guidelines. Comments can be on any topic. Please come to the podium and put your name, address, email address, and subject of your comment into the record book. Before speaking, please give your name, address, and subject of your comment to Ms. Annette Giordano, Business Administrator, Board Secretary. Direct your comments and questions to the Board President. You may speak on 2 separate topics for up to 3 minutes each.
Lisa Zymak, 5 Princeton Drive, Middlesex, New Jersey. I have one question. Does it have to be on agenda item?
No,
Okay.
this is any topic.
Okay. So can I talk about the agenda for tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My first question is, who here is on like the personnel committee, I guess, or on agreeing with who we should hire? And here, the question I have is on this one. Here you go. Hold on a second. Okay, here, 9, personnel committee. Who's on that?
Anybody on the personnel want to raise your hand?
Is it a secret?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't,
Oh,
I didn't know
okay.
how to rattle them all.
Oh, okay, okay, so we have Todd and Sharon, okay. So, again, probably know why I'm up here, because I'm looking at a 4th grade teacher that we're bringing in on step 18 for $103,000 a year. I did a little bit of background, because that's what I try and do before I stand up here, and I couldn't find her salary for 2026, but for 2025, it was $78,000. So, and we're bringing her in at $103,000. 4th grade teacher. So, no specialty. I saw her video she had out there. She looks very enthusiastic. It would be nice to have somebody like that in mortar school. And I feel bad because I'm saying this because she's probably a lovely teacher. I just have a hard time with bringing in new teachers, paying them this extraordinary salary. And I've said it over and over again, but evidently nobody else cares but me. So that's one. My second one is, do we have any information on the lunch rears? Because I asked back in March.
Is that on, that was on the answer, I believe, is on the ongoing business on the agenda for, you asked in April or March, it would be on the next
It
month.
was in March, yeah, and you gave me the total.
Yes,
That was for March.
yes. So you,
So
are
what
you
I'm
looking for
curious to
updated?
know is like, okay, we knew how much it was. Maybe what is it now? And has anything been done to circumvent this?
Okay, we can get you that information.
Okay. And that's it
Thank you.
for today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I kind of agree with what Lisa's saying, because I thought that with the, at the budget hearings, we had talked about trying to bring in teachers so that we could have some retention to help with the budget problem. I don't see where that's happening, and I'm wondering if you know yet for this upcoming school year, you said you had no intentions of cutting administration, but that you might cut staff. Do you know what positions you're gonna eliminate for next year?
Yeah, so the budget presentation was said that we're not cutting staff. So that there may be positions that were not filled, that may not get filled, but we weren't cutting
Okay, but
staff,
isn't that
current
cutting staff?
employees now.
I mean, if you're not gonna fill staff, then what are you gonna do? Because you're not filling staff, which means you're not replacing
No, I said
somebody.
they might not. If they were open and we found that maybe necessarily it didn't, I shouldn't say need to be filled, because they all need to be filled. But that was a way to,
So there were some positions such as classroom aides that were in the budget for a really long time, and they were not filled. So what we did was we repurposed those positions, moving TAs, collapsing those, and taking TAs that we currently have and placing them out of the gen ed into special education.
Right, and you eliminated the TAs that were in the kindergartens, right?
They were eliminated in kindergarten, but they continue to work in district in special education.
Okay.
so people,
Repurpose.
persons were not let go, is
Right.
what,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, so how many positions are open currently for next year?
I think it was,
I have it.
yes, she has, I believe it was, you said 17. I think it was 17, but.
But I want to
Okay.
break it down to be
Yeah,
very
exactly
clear
what it is.
of what it is, because it's not 17 teaching positions.
Mhm.
Some are, 9 of them, I believe, are leave replacements.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to be, if you just give me 1 second
Yeah,
to pull
sure.
that up.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, there are 2 high school positions, 3 middle school positions, 1 elementary position, 2 district-wide behavioral support positions, and 9 leave replacements.
And those are
Well,
long-term
a lot of them are.
leave replacements?
Yes.
Okay. I saw that. Okay, and, the update for class 3, do you think they'll be in place by September?
So we have an update, if you want me to share it now.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I
We'll talk
spoke
about
to
that
Chief
anyways.
Geis yesterday, He has made offers, all 3 positions, and he's waiting to see if the offers will be accepted. 2 offers were going out today, and 1 is going out on Thursday.
Will they be chosen, Tom, for secretary?
That's the goal.
They accept our offer.
Exactly.
Or
They
his
have-
offer, not
They
ours.
have to accept the offer
Right.
from, and if they don't, then it's back to the drawing board. He would have to post the position again. So,
Yeah, I know there's a lot of positions out there, other districts too. but there's a lot
All for
of-
class 3s.
so.
Fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will now close the public comment portion of the meeting. We'll move on to our presentation of our 2026 to 2031 district strategic plan.
tonight, we have members of our steering committee that are here to present our strategic plan. As you know, we went into strategic planning for the second half of the school year. This is something we've been working on from January to present, and we'll continue to work on. But we have members that are with us tonight, and they are going to do the presenting of the strategic plan, what our meetings look like, what we talked about. So I'm very excited. I'll introduce each member, and you guys can take it from there. So first we have Mrs. Hollowell, who is our representative, our parent representative from grades 6 through 8. We have Mr. Regan back. You can give us wave and stand up. We have Mr. Regan back there. He is our high school principal. He represented the administration on the steering committee. We have Mr. Hall, who is our representative for a teacher representative, grades 9 through 12. We have Ms. Longus, who was our support staff representative for the steering committee. And we have Mrs. Perry, who was our parent representative for grades K through 3. Our next slide will show the other members of the steering committee, but these are the ones that are here with us tonight. Also under, we did this work with student education. Dr. Reginald Todd was our facilitator. He couldn't be with us tonight. However, he sends his regards, and he's really excited that we're presenting this to you for it to be on tomorrow night's agenda for approval. So that's our steering committee, and with that, Mr. Regan, if you would like to, actually, we're starting out with our mission and vision, and that's actually Mrs. Schuler. And Mrs. Schuler, I'm sorry, I didn't.
That's okay. Should I go over there?
Sure.
Hi, guys. So, come on, let's go. So we had, can you go back a slide? We had a variety of representatives, either from the MEA representative, we had the administrators representative, we had teacher reps, we had business leaders, we had other teachers, we had a variety of different people, parents, as well as other teacher representatives. So thank you guys for coming tonight. When we look at the vision, you can go, can you click it one? Yep. Oh, sorry. Thank you. So, when you look at our vision and mission statement, I know it looks not wordy. We had a lot of wordsmiths in the room, thank you very much, people, who, we reviewed all of the surveys and information that was received from all of the groups that met, and we chose to simplify, shall we say, the vision and mission statement so that it encompassed everyone's thoughts and opinions. So the vision is the Middlesex Borough Public School District fosters a school community empowered to create a standard of excellence, innovation, accountability, and inspiration. And from that vision, our group came up with a mission of, our mission is to champion excellence, advance equity, and empower every student to thrive. We did not want to, we wanted to make it kind of a laser-focused vision and mission. So, that's what I got. Who's next?
The strategic planning process.
Who was that? Was that you?
Yep. Mrs. Hollowell.
Good evening. I want to briefly explain why I chose to join the Board of Education's Strategic Planning Steering Committee before we get into some of the other pieces of this. Many of you know me first as a parent. I have a child at Watchung and one at Mauger, though the other is about to go to Mauger now. And I'm a mother before I'm anything else, right? And like many parents in this community, I first came to this board with concerns, right? Concerns about academic rigor, accountability, teacher performance, student mental health and bias, and whether all of our children are truly being prepared for success. I've attended multiple meetings, I've stood before the board and called for change, I've written emails, I've requested meetings with administrators and district leadership and drafted different proposals, right? Not just about what the problems are, but how we can actually start to solve them. Because criticism without contribution is easy. Real change requires work. Professionally, I think it's important to understand that I came to this because not only do I hold a Juris Doctorate, but I have a master's degree in education policy and development and serve as the COO of a behavioral science-based market research firm that focuses on strategy, systems improvement, and understanding how people organize to actually create this type of change, right? I want to believe I was invited to serve on this committee not because I've been quiet, but because I've been clear, because I've been willing to be critical while staying focused on solutions, because I've tried to engage, not divide. Right? To inform, not inflame. To move things forward and not to simply perform frustration. I also want to be clear that the challenges we face as a district did not begin with any members of the current administration or board, and pretending that they did only distracts us from real progress. Many of the concerns being voiced today and previously about rigor and trust and inconsistency and inequity in culture have existed years and in some cases decades before now. And if we are serious about change, we have to be honest enough to confront that reality. So, I didn't come to simply accept recommendations at face value, including those from firms like Studer, but to scrutinize them as both a parent and a researcher and ask what will actually work here for our students in Middlesex. So the introduction of Studer Education as a consultant and the creation of this strategic plan represents something important, an opportunity to pivot, the opportunity for Middlesex to stop operating in cycles of frustration and start operating with intention. A strategic plan is not magic, and no outside consultant will save us on their own, but both provide us with something we have needed for a long time, an anchor point, structure, accountability, and a shared roadmap forward, a clear set of expectations and measurable goals against which every stakeholder, teachers, administrators, the superintendent, parents, students, and yes, even the board, can be held accountable. It gives us a chance to stop reacting emotionally to every individual issue and instead build a system that addresses root causes, measures progress, and creates sustainable change. But opportunity only matters if we choose to use it. If we keep chaining ourselves to nostalgia or completely unrealistic solutions tethered to fundamental lacks of understanding of how the law functions, we'll remain exactly where we are. This moment requires us to decide whether we want performance or progress. whether we want to keep reliving the same arguments or finally build something better for our children. The strategic plan is not the finish line, it is the starting point. This is about whether we're willing to do the work necessary to ensure that every child in this district receives the kind of K through 12 education or pre-K through 12 education that creates opportunity, not just for some, but for all. In other words, don't just talk about it, be about it. So, the work did not begin with opinions, it began with listening. Students, teachers, administrators, support staff, parents, and community members were asked to share their experiences, their concerns, their hopes for the future of our district. That data became the foundation of our work. Rather than allowing the loudest voices or the latest controversy to dictate our priorities, we examined patterns, identified recurring themes, and worked to understand both the drivers of success and the barriers preventing Middlesex from reaching its full potential. That's what good strategic planning is supposed to do. It transforms individual stories into meaningful data, data into shared priorities, and priorities into measurable action. It replaces assumptions with evidence. It replaces reaction with intention. And perhaps most importantly, it creates a common language that allows an entire community to move into the same direction. So what I want the community now to understand is that with this strategic plan, it was not created in a single meeting, nor was it a product of one perspective. It was forged through multiple working sessions, thoughtful analysis, respectful disagreement, and genuine collaboration around the people who brought different experiences, priorities, and expertise to the table. We debated difficult issues, challenged one another's assumptions, and refused to settle for easy answers. We carefully dissected the feedback we received from students, parents, teachers, and staff, not simply accepting it at face value, but looking for the deeper patterns and testing for competing viewpoints, and asking what will actually make a lasting difference for our children. That process was not always easy, but it was exactly what meaningful strategic planning requires. By challenging these beliefs on all sides, rather than protecting preconceived notions on all sides, we work to ensure that this strategy is not merely representative of today's conversations, but resilient enough to guide tomorrow's decisions. So, from that work emerged the pillars of our strategic plan: student success, employee excellence, sustainable schools, and family and friends. Not simply broadest aspirations, but commitments that define how every stakeholder in this district has a role to play. Students, teachers, administrators, support staff, parents, and the board, and the community all contribute to the success of our schools. Likewise, every stakeholder deserves to be properly supported, appropriately resourced, clearly informed, and fairly held accountable. What excites me most about this plan is not the document itself, it's what the document makes possible. This plan is an anchor, as I said before. It establishes a shared vision and measurable goals. It provides the framework for curriculum improvements, professional development, communication strategies, student support and safety, resource allocation, and performance expectations. It gives district leadership a roadmap for translating broad aspirations to day-to-day actions that students, families will ultimately experience in classrooms, hallways, athletic fields, arts programs, and every other corner of our schools. The next chapter cannot belong to the Strategic Planning Committee alone. It belongs to every one of us. Now is the time for Middlesex to unite around a common purpose, not because we will suddenly agree on everything, but because we will finally agree on where we are trying to go. We owe it to our children to replace speculation with facts, misinformation with transparency, and division with collaboration. If we remain committed to that purpose, this strategic plan will become far more than a document. It will become the foundation upon which we build a stronger school district for generations to come. Thank you.
What we heard from stakeholders. Mrs. Perry?
Hi.
Well, she mentioned a lot of what I'm saying, so I'll be nice and quick. As a part of our strategic planning process, we gathered feedback from our parents, students, teachers, staff, and community members. And through focus groups and district-wide surveys, through the focus groups and district-wide surveys. While each group shared different perspectives and experiences, several common themes emerged to help us guide our work. Overall, the stakeholders expressed a strong appreciation for the close-knit community, the dedication of our teachers and staff, and the district's commitment to supporting students. There's a great deal of pride in Middlesex Borough Public Schools, and to share the desire to see this district continue to grow and improve. Some of the common themes that we noticed across the survey and the focus groups were communication. The stakeholders were looking for more of a clear, consistent communication and more opportunities for family and community members to feel informed, heard, and involved. Academic excellence, which is the more importance of the consistency of our curriculum and instruction practices across all of our schools. The need for strong employment support and development and our retention through PDs and improving our working conditions. Also, the importance of our safe, inclusive, and sustainable learning environments with strong family and community partnerships. Across both of our focus groups and survey responses, one message was clear. Our stakeholders care deeply about Middlesex Borough Public Schools. They value the strong sense of community we have while encouraging continuing growth in our communication, academic excellence, leadership, and opportunities that will best prepare our students for the future.
Thank you. Now an overview of our 4 pillars.
Yeah, so from that information, we developed 4 pillars that people have talked about. Take a look at them real quick right here. We have our first one being student success, that being the most important. And at the forefront, we have employee excellence, right? Building up our employees so that they can provide the best possible education to our students. You have sustainable schools, and what does that look like? Making sure that we're developing and maintaining schools that are conducive to learning and safe. And also family and friends and us working with the community. All right, so the first pillar, it says creating an environment where every student emerges from their educational experience capable of excelling in their chosen path. I'll translate that for everybody who wasn't in the meeting. All right, so what that really means is, in simple terms, our goal is to make sure that every student grows socially, emotionally, and academically through quality learning experiences that we provide here at Middlesex. Our first priority is to evaluate our programs, our pacing guides, our instructional practices, and our resources to ensure that every student has the opportunity to receive the same education as well as approaches throughout each school, regardless of what school they're in. Right? So we're going to make that a common practice. Next, we'll make sure that our data review is consistent across all schools and that we are using that data to provide the appropriate support to our students, making sure that we're looking at local data like iReady information or overarching data like our NJSLA data to enhance education that we provide for our students who are gifted, but also use it to address the areas for improvement or areas of weakness or even help a student that might be struggling in certain areas. So making common practice of data review, spreading those common practices throughout each school so that each kid gets the best possible education that they can get in whatever path that they choose, whether it be an honors one, a traditional one, or a path where they need a little bit more help. All right. A lot of the feedback that we got focused on career paths. And when we think about career paths, we think about the high school, right? But it really doesn't start in the high school. It starts right there in kindergarten, pre-K, right? So we're going to look at opportunities within our curriculum to highlight career paths that kids can take starting early on, do career interest surveys, make sure that we're developing classes in fourth and fifth grade, 6th through 8th, that start with STEM in areas where kids really show interest and that can start to get them thinking about what do I want to do in the future, not when they get to 9th grade, but when they're in 4th grade, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade. So they start building those blocks for when they get to the high school, then they can kind of pick and choose where they'd like to go so that they know what they want to do once they leave us. All right? Also, we're taking a look at our social and emotional learning, looking at our current program, how does that support students? We're also making sure that we can make sure that our students have social emotional support and that we're training our staff to support them, as well as providing them with opportunities to learn more about themselves so that they're resilient, can work through tough times, and really be the best person they can be on emotional and social level here at Middlesex School District. Pillar number 2, it was employee excellence, right? And simply put, we're going to commit to high standards, each and every employee. It's not just teachers, it's not just principals, it's custodians, it's secretaries, it's our aides, our lunch aides. We're going to put a high standard out for them. And then us as a team, we're going to support them to meet that standard. We're going to have them grow through quality, we're going to have them grow and make them master what it is to support themselves and their students and give them the appropriate training so that everybody gets the support they need. You know, the educational landscape is different than it's ever been, right? When it comes to finding quality candidates here, without not just Middlesex High School, but within any other school district. So what we need to do is let potential hires know that if you come to Middlesex, you're going to be supported, and that everything we can do, we will do to make sure that you're supported and that you grow and that you master the craft of education so that our kids receive the best education that they can. You know, two-way communication is one of the big areas where we want to make sure that we're working with everyone, right? That people feel okay to come to us with a concern or an idea, and that we're at least hearing them and then getting back to them and making sure that they feel respected, heard, and a part of the team, right? So we want to establish positive communication. So that's what we look at number 2 when we talk about fostering open communication. We also want to make sure that we're consistent from school to school. Employees want to make sure that they're, I'm sorry, let me go back to that. We also want to make sure that all of our educators are on the same page. We want to make sure that educational expectations and systems are the same for each staff member across all of our schools throughout the district, and that things aren't being done differently from school to school, that each school is doing the same thing at the same time in the same way. You know, as a district, we're going to take a look at our professional development. The feedback from our staff is important about how we support our kids and how we support them, right? So when we're developing best practices and giving to them and developing these professional learning opportunities, we're using the information that they give us, whether it be from local data or from anecdotal data, to address the needs of our students here in Middlesex. Our next one is sustainable schools, and that's going to be presented by Mr. Holmes as well. Yes.
Thank you. So I'll share a little bit about this experience as well, because I think that tells a big story about how this all came to be. And I was honored to be on this committee. I was honored to be chosen on this committee. It would have made for a good reality TV show, to be honest with you.
Don't do it.
Because it was,
Don't do it.
we had fun. I won't do it. It was fun. It was difficult. There was laughter. There was some serious tension in the room, which there should have been. That only contributed and helped things, I believe. If we all came in and said, oh, let's do A, B, and C, and we'll get X, Y, and Z, that's not going to create change. It's not going to create success. So the group of people that we got to work with, including Reggie, who had a baby while all this went on, okay, so we got to, you know, kind of experience that too. It was a wonderful experience. But what Ms. Hollowell said is, this is a starting point. This is just scratching the surface. This is really just coming to the table with something we feel like we spent a lot of time on. We feel like it could add a lot of value over time if proposed, if implemented, and then obviously monitored and maintained the correct way. So that's why we're here, and that's why I'm here tonight. I'm blessed to work here. I love my job. I tell Dr. Freeman that because I know you do, right? Because I smile every time she sees me. I am not a history buff of Middlesex Borough. When I drove through here for my interview, I didn't know where I was. I didn't know that Somerset turned right into Middlesex, and all of a sudden there was a high school off Route 28. So, as you can imagine, I didn't know where the buildings were. I didn't know where the schools were. I didn't know what they were called. I didn't know what age and grades went to school there. I just knew that I was going to see Mr. Regan and Mr. Beauvais and potentially have a job. But you can imagine in a town like this, where it's been established for quite an amount of time, the buildings are all different. all right? They all have different qualities. Some are older, some are newer, some facilities have been maintained, sustained, and some have obviously have their struggles, as you can imagine. So can I tell you the history on every school? No. But I know that sustaining something is different than maintaining something, right? Sustaining is really putting that effort, that energy, and that commitment into fixing the core foundation of a problem. And again, I don't like using that word often, problem, right? I'd rather use solution. But there are ways in a room full of such smart, talented, and good people that we can figure out how to sustain our schools. Try to create that equity for our students, which is obviously our number one priority, and the excellence of our students. But again, creating and strengthening flexible and innovative academic, artistic, athletic, and enrichment learning activities. Mr. Regan talked about career paths, right? Having those rooms, those learning centers, those school buildings essentially up to date where students and teachers and staff members can start exploring those options of careers, of what they want to do, and also just continue their academic excellence within their elementary schools. We talked about ensuring sustainable and future-ready technology. We're in a library right now, all right, and I don't want to, point any fingers, but I would say 20 years ago this library was filled with books. It's not right now, and I don't think we're getting, just as many books that are here in the future. So again, those technological advances, just maintenance needs to be part of our sustainable schools. And then, of course, we need to maintain safe and strategically utilized facilities. We often find ourselves saying that we don't have enough space. We're working out of closets. We're struggling to make ends meet here at the school, but like I said, in a room full of smart people that can figure it out, I feel like sustaining schools is one of the biggest pillars that we do have.
I agree. Yeah, I just think that, again, making sure that across the board, the schools are just as efficient and effective as possible for our students and staff as they can be. And I'm quite confident that they will continue to be that.
And of course, our goal is to keep everybody safe. All right, so when we look at the 4 pillars, right, Ryan talked about student success. So that's obviously is our number one focus and goal. How I look at those pillars, right, as we lay them out in 4 different pillars, obviously student success is our number one priority, but where's our anchor? Where is our anchor in this community? It's right here, right? Our families, our community members, our friends within the community that support us, that contribute, and that have been here for a long time and will continue to be. So the definition, we're building strong partnerships through collaboration, communication, and shared responsibility among schools, families, and the community to support the success of every student. Not just students that live on one side of town, not students that go to one specific school, everybody as a whole. And I'm going to ask Ms. Schuler to jump in a minute or so. I know she's laughing at me. Because I already emailed her this morning. She knows, yes. So, strengthening consistent communication. What does that look like? Right? That we're maintaining different types of communication, and it's consistent. That we're receiving those forms of communication consistently in different forms, in different ways, to different families, however they may need that. And again, the challenges and struggles of some families may not be the challenges and struggles of some other families. And that's important. If your son or daughter, if you don't know what your son or daughter is doing at school or what's going on at their school, it's very difficult to fulfill that part of their life, their academic life. My wife and I are getting ready to put our 3rd child on a full-size school bus for kindergarten in the fall, and it does not get any easier, right? We want to know everything that's going on. What time's he getting picked up? What time's he getting dropped off? What time, where's his homeroom class? So that's so important to parents. and so important to you and so important to us. So timely, accessible, relevant, ensure accessible and inclusive family and community engagement. What does that look like? Do we provide programs online? Do we provide them here at the school? Do we offer parent, family, friend nights to inform them, to teach them? And this is where I'll have you jump in if you don't mind. But this is a project that Ms. Schuler has
I have,
Sharon's baby.
I have said the name Parent University for years. Years, I'm sorry. And we have gotten to a point now where there's a logo, there's been some presentations for Empower ED, the Parent University of Middlesex Borough, and we can only enhance that and make that greater, whether it's just explaining to parents in a short video what a lockdown versus what a shelter in place mean, or whether it's how to log into Genesis, or whether, like, we can do so much with it and enhance on our new website how things get done. So I am so happy to see Parent University starting. Was that good enough?
She's gonna ask me to help with it too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I know that. So the second one, again, a sense of belonging, right? Do they feel included? Do they feel like they belong within the school and the community? And what's going on there? The collaboration, right? Working with different types of people. And then also us making the investment in them. So therefore, they'll make the investment into their child's education, their interests, and then hopefully we get those investments back here from those students. And lastly, increase family engagement through educational initiatives, which is kind of piggybacks on what Ms. Schuler said. How do we learn? How do we connect? How do we work together? Because all those things together contribute to student growth. So I feel really strongly that, again, those difficult times, those difficult moments, I used to text Ryan after we left the meetings and said, man, my head hurts, right? And he was like, mine too. So we feel like we spent a lot of time and effort and energy, and we feel really proud about the work we did. So we hope you enjoyed it as well.
So those are the 4 pillars, right? Ms. Schuler went over the vision, as long as Mr. Hall and I went over the strategic priorities, the strategic priorities in depth. What are the next steps, right? So the next steps are implementation, and what does that look like? That's us getting together with the administrative team and looking at how we can meet the goals that were set in large scale by the vision, but more directly by the strategic priorities that we just went over. So we have a plan to do that. From there, we're going to have to figure out how is that successful and how can we monitor our progress on those goals. Just like any good plan after that, are we meeting them, are we not, why not? We refine from there, right? We make adjustments, here's how we can get better at this. We've done that, or this isn't working, and we figure out as a team how we can do that, right? Then the steering committee will get back together and we'll reflect upon the whole process. What worked, what went well, what did we make advancements in, what did we kind of get halfway on, and maybe we need to go farther, and hey, where can we improve that we're working on, right? So the process kind of comes back, and then you say, hey, did everything we do meet that vision that we set forth in the beginning, right? So there's multiple meetings that have to happen with the administrators, the leadership throughout the district still, and then you got to come back to the steering committee and really evaluate how everything went.
But if you notice the process here from, I had to put this in here because like my mind works differently, and I needed that visual, but you see where each image starts, right, at our vision, right? Where do we start and where do we go from here? So this cyclical process or this cascading process really flows all back to the start of our vision, all right? So again, and we felt like the most important part of this when we get to evaluating ourselves is being honest and really, telling ourselves or asking ourselves if what we did worked, or what we're doing worked.
And highlighting what worked.
Yes.
And addressing what didn't work.
Yeah, and how to make changes and moving forward. All
All right, questions and discussion?
First, thank you for all the effort and time. It was very impressive.
Very well.
So, do we have a defined set of goals and metrics that we're going to be using to grade each of these goals? Because I didn't see any actual defined anything.
That would be the next step. That's what
So-
we have to
Yes.
say. This is how
Yeah.
we define the goal. Here's the goals, you know, you kind of get specific each step of the way, right? So our
Yep.
mission was pretty generic but specific, then you got more specific in your pillars. The checklist kind of comes in our next meeting with
Okay.
implementation.
Yeah.
So the next meeting is with the leadership team, because they're the ones who actually, they know the measures.
Yep.
They're the ones who will make this vision realistic. Well, what are the measurable means that we can implement? And what, based on the data that we've gathered, what will support that growth?
Based on that, where does the team that came in to kind of set all this up, student education,
They conduct.
where do they fit into this?
They conduct that session. So our
Okay.
next session is August 24th
Okay,
with the district, not district, but the leadership team. So building principals, supervisors, directors, all in a room.
is that a
Doing-
public meeting?
No, it's
Okay.
not. So this is, but it's taking exactly what has been done and breaking it down into the measures.
Okay.
So it's not changing anything that this committee has done. It's identify, well, what are those measures? How are we going to measure student success? What does that look like?
Will the board get a
Absolutely,
briefing on how that's,
absolutely.
okay, cool.
And that's one of the things that, in this entire process, that, well, reporting out, if, you went back from the slide, but in that reciprocal, diagram there, it is about, right there, monitoring. So you will get consistent updates. How are we doing? Based on what measures that we're using. And then from there, that refinement, that reflection.
Okay.
Any other questions? So
We
that's
heard a
about-
lot of comments like, thank you for it, but data, priorities, district-wide surveys, like all this information, like beautiful, but what does it mean for your typical, like we talk to our residents, what do we tell them what that means? Like that's, they're gonna hear it, they're gonna ask us, I know they're gonna ask us after they listen to the meeting. So where is the data, what are the priorities? And like, is those both implemented into socially? Are there data and priorities for the socially aspect you talked about in pillar one? Are there data and priorities for the emotionally? And are there data for the academically mentioned as well? And how are those priorities and data being shown? How's it gonna be shown to everybody?
So I would think, right, that one of the things that we're able to produce is to say, based on the wealth of feedback, right? That's where you come up with those pillars, with all those things that were shown should be visible to the community. So all of these bullet points, to say this is how all of that feedback gets distilled into that initial high level. What Dr. Freeman just talked about is taking that and then turning it into key performance indicators to say not only are we taking that data and creating this high level roadmap, but now that data is further being broke down to say when we talk about student success and we start implementing specific programs, how are we going to measure that that program actually yielded something from the students? When we talk about engaging parents like myself, how do we make sure that the transparency that's been absent in so much of the feedback that I know you've heard, I know other people have heard about, how do we ensure that the individuals responsible for not only being responsive, but being transparent actually are? Does that require further feedback? How else do we make that tangible to the community? The idea of drilling down into these actual tactical measures is to make what is very high level here. You're absolutely right, Mr. Farnsworth, like, it's very high level. The next step is to make those things more tangible, not just to this board, but to make it tangible to parents like me, that the needle is actually being moved. And so there's going to be low-hanging fruit, we talked a lot about that, low-hanging fruit. What are gonna be the quick wins that people are gonna feel relatively immediately? And then how do you create enough communication around longer-term goals, because this is a 5-year mission, right? To say some of us will have kids out of school before the full and making it tangible for the teacher.
What are the you mentioned low hanging fruit, what are some of those, or
So,
can we get those?
to
Not,
give
I'm
you
not
an
asking for a
example.
full detail like
Yeah,
that,
no,
but,
to give you an example.
can we get
of-
that out to them?
Sure. I think, look, this is my opinion, right, so, you know, take that for what it is. Right. Low hanging fruit to me, I mean, Dr. Freeman knows, I stood up here and talked about, like, my emails don't get answered, right? Like, I'm not getting an email from this teacher or that principal, right? That's low hanging fruit. That could be changed pretty immediately, right? That's measurable, and it's something that is absolutely achievable. And that's something that you can feel right now. But talking about how we integrate AI education into the high school, or talking about how we bring in more technology in general, that's not gonna happen tomorrow, right? Curriculums have to be built, budgets have to be set aside to bring in that technology. Or something that I suggested, again, this is my opinion, doesn't mean it's gonna make it in the plan, but something like, not every child is gonna go to Harvard, right? How do we implement programs that speak to brilliant kids who might wanna go into the ROTC or something like that? Those are things that probably exist somewhere in the middle between the big lofty goals and the really immediate ones, right? But all of those can be tangible in different ways even now.
See, when you were up talking about not getting emails answered and things like that, I'd say probably 80% of the board had no idea that was going on. So there's gotta be a way to measure that out to the board as well.
Exactly. And I think what Dr. Freeman has spoken to and so many of the other members here have spoken to is to say, now that we know, because now we can't say we didn't know, right?
Right.
From the feedback, is to say, now that we know, you have to create a tangible KPI, a key performance indicator around that. You know it's a problem, can't say you didn't know, so now there has to be a measure against that. So that when things are brought to the table to say we're seeing improvement, doesn't get solved in a day, but there has to be forward momentum, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and more to my point though, like, we knew it happened to you because you came here.
Right,
How many parents does it happen to who haven't come here?
exactly.
Or how many don't come to the superintendent,
Sure.
so that even I know.
And I think that's where,
Whether it goes to a principal, a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
the superintendent, or the board, somebody should be keeping track of replies that are going out.
and I think like, that's why that became part of one of the pillars, because that was, like they said, they came up with these pillars, or the steering committee came up with these pillars based on feedback from the surveys. And so that's how we found out, like you said, a lot of people don't come up here and say that, you know, so that's why when people took these surveys, it was like, oh, that's how we knew it was happening on a larger scale, you know,
Well, some
based
of the
on
stuff
that.
we're already doing, right? So you talk about career paths and things like that. Next year, we're starting here at the high school, video production class, video editing production, things that kids are gonna go, these school years go into and do maybe in their college career. So the next step is highlight what we're doing, but then develop a plan of things, or how do we highlight that from middle school, 6th grade, so those kids coming prepared so they're for that, right? So some of it we're already doing, we just need to show the community that we're doing, and then take that next step and develop it, either at a higher level, whether it's in high school, or at a lower level, middle school or elementary school. So we're kind of halfway there on some of it. We just have to make sure we promote, right, so people know. We can give that feedback and say, well, why didn't they know that? Maybe I haven't done a great job of promoting, we gotta do a better job of that.
But when you're building out these processes, I'm imagining there's gonna be like controls put in place, such as.
To measure.
Right, and then if there is an expectation set out and there's a process for communication for emails, but somehow there's a checkpoint, a control, to make sure that at each level, whether it be the teacher, the principal, that those emails are being answered. I don't know what that control would be. I mean, that's something that between Studer and the team and the administration, hopefully, we can build in.
I'd say that would be more of an IT issue. IT could take a report about
Yeah.
unanswered
Right, I'm just
emails
saying, I
and
don't
present that
know
at board
what they're gonna
meetings.
decide, but they're the types of controls, like, across the board that we can.
And I asked that same question because I didn't know, and not that I need to know everything, but I want to know what are we gonna do with this? How are we gonna
measure it.
measure?
Yep.
How then are we going to use that data, which speaks the truth, to make changes and to grow and to make things different, better, and move in different directions? So I didn't want to use the word SMART goals, Reggie used that, so I will throw him under the US. But again, we're gonna use SMART goals, which, again, we can throw out acronyms and academic words, but they will be measurable, and they will be documented, and that's how this all works. It's really, it doesn't work if we don't have that data, if we don't hold ourselves accountable, but also hold what we wanna change, or make a solution.
And another great point that you made is about, like, what happens to the parents who aren't willing to get up here in front of a camera and say those things? Because I remember somebody said, like, what does it say, like, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, but there are a lot of people who also believe that the noisy duck gets shot, right? And so, you know, how do you create a forum for parents who aren't comfortable getting up in front of this mic? And that's a challenge that has to be addressed in this process as well, and I believe that it will be, and it must be, because you have to, part of the family and friends pillar is creating multiple ways for people to make it to these solutions and for their voices to be heard, because it's not all gonna happen at the mic, right? And it can't, and it shouldn't.
And the surveys provide us with more, listen, we can always have more, right? Like, the more parents, the more mouths, the more feedback, the better. But that provided us with, like,
How many surveys were sent out?
Well, I have to say, I wanted to come
Yeah.
back to Mr. Carnes. The focus group, the surveys, and our little strategic group, there was nothing new. We all agreed on it. There was multiple things that we saw in the focus groups that were the same on the survey. So it was a difficult job to come up with the pillars. However, it was easy to kind of look at the data and see the correlation between all of the different groups. I don't know what you were gonna say, and I cut you off, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
He asked the question about the.
Do we know how many surveys were sent out to the community?
How many?
So the survey was made available to all members of the community.
Okay, but it wasn't actually,
But not all members of the community
Yeah.
participated, right? So
No,
that-
and that's
yeah.
information that we can obviously provide. We have that, I don't wanna.
I don't remember it offhand.
No, absolutely not, but,
So the survey
but-
was lower than the focus groups.
Yeah.
So one thing that we really focused on, that Reggie focused on, was the information from the focus groups, because he felt that was more representative of the community than the actual surveys. It was definitely taken into account, but
The surveys, like Brenda said, the surveys
repeated, yes,
a lot
same
of
good
what
questions
was
that
said
we've
in the
spoken
focus
about,
groups.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
we're seeing very common things amongst all of them.
So just reading this, like, this just reads what a school's supposed to be already, right? Like, I'm not being super critical, but like, what is a hiring committee? Like, what's a measure for a hiring committee? Like, what does that mean? So like, our hiring practices aren't good enough, so we need to get a hiring committee? And what is standardizing volunteer classroom shadowing instructional rounds? Stuff like that, when I read it, my brain goes, pew, 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 what is this, what is this, what is this, what is this? And I don't think we have enough time, and nor do I want to take up all your valuable time as it is, because volunteering is amazing, so thank you for doing this, but like, what's different? What's different with this? Why shouldn't this already have been in place, and wasn't there one already in place, and did this get updated, and you guys worked off something, or you just created this from scratch, and we didn't have a strategic plan at all before?
No, so I think it's important, like you're saying, you don't want to take up our time, but I think it's also important for you to really understand kind of what went on and kind of go further. So I know I don't mind saying and expressing exactly what it was. As far as what you're saying, like this is what a school should look like, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And we worked on things that are still here in place, it's just strengthening them. So there's a lot of things there that you might see that they already do, but we're just strengthening that. And then there's also things in there that maybe are new to the district and that could be brought up. So it's not, what you're looking at is not like, we don't have any of these things, we need to do them. A lot of it is strengthening it or improving it because, yeah.
What is okay, let's break it, like, well, what was the thought process between the measures of a hiring committee?
So, can I just, so the goal of this, for this evening was to bring forward a vision, mission, and the pillars with the strategic priorities.
When we met, however, we discussed some of the things that we thought should kind of be part of the administration's discussion when they get to the measures. So the measures are not for us to approve tonight. The measures are for the administrators to talk about. There is a hiring process. It has changed in the last 3 years to a panel. There's an entire process. There's a panel. There's a rubric. There's all kinds of stuff. So that is in place. But there was a conversation about more teachers wanted to be involved, because right now it is just administration.
This is
But-
for teachers.
But, so, yeah, so, what they talked about was, and Mr. Regan did a great job of explaining how it was before, in that if you want to be on the panel as a teacher, there needs to be some training, so you know what questions can be asked legally, what questions should be that you have to ask. So it shouldn't just be putting a teacher on a panel, it should be putting a trained
teacher.
No, I-
interviewer on the
I-
panel.
It just said
I
staff,
get
so I
that.
thought
Yeah.
that applied to anybody,
Hold
not
on,
just
Derek, can I-
teachers.
The department heads are on the panels already?
We don't have department head. What do you mean department
Like,
heads?
the math department lead, whoever, whatever.
No, they are not on the commit, they are not.
Wow, okay.
So right now, there are panels that are put in place with administration and supervisors sit on all panels, directors sit on panels.
Okay.
And there's 2 levels. It starts with the initial hiring or initial screening, and then it goes on to a demo in teachers, but also in secretaries, also any type of demo that shows their competencies across a rubric that is normed and all the administration has been in service on, so they're very familiar with it. So in the steering committee in one of the sessions, a teacher expressed that, at one time, teachers were apart. And it was an entire discussion about why teachers were pulled back. And if we are going to move forward with this, that let's start with what was talked about, let's start with our Teachers of the Year. Let's start with putting together a committee to train the Teachers of the Year, and if they would like to sit on these panels, that they can. But it's not, and Mr. Regan, you could join, if you want to add anything that you said during the session, it was not, hiring in the past was not good. It was not good for the district, the way that individuals were hired, the questions that were
So I
asked.
think what
There was no
we talked about,
consistency.
yeah, in the past was what was brought in over the past couple of years, was just norming it, right? Making sure we're asking the same, we talked about it in some of the pillars, we talked about everybody getting the same access to their education. What Dr. Freeman brought in was all of us asking the same questions to the same candidates, not the same candidate, to our candidates regardless of what school we were in or where we were at. So the first round was one, but the second round gets a little more specific to each school. But each elementary school has a set of questions, the high school has their questions, and we have various levels of checks going through that when you have about 3 administrators on that panel interview. So it's not just one person's opinion on a candidate, but it's also not one set of questions that I think are good that I would like to ask. It's ones that are for the district. And, it puts us in compliance with laws, right, to make sure that we're following that. And it allows us to score our potential candidates and then see if we're all within a similar range on a person, whether it be a great performance or a not so good performance in that interview. So that's definitely different from what we did in the past, where it was definitely just local to the school.
It creates that inter-rater reliability amongst the administrative team. It also, last summer, they sat down as a team and they evaluated the questions. And they were able to revamp some of the questions. They were able to say, we don't like the way this question reads. We would like to change it so that it focuses on this. So they have even fine-tuned their practice. So this strategic plan and doing this process, having teachers involved and saying, hey, at one time we were apart, how can we be apart again? Well, we can be apart. Let's write this into the plan so that our teachers are a part of these, that we can train them. We have a system. That's what was missing, a system. And the system that's been in place in 3 years, it has proven that it's working. Now let's add to it. So adding teachers, we continue to improve it, but that goes back to that cycle. We'll reflect on that. How has it been working with having teachers involved? What else do we need to do?
And we talked about, and again, I don't wanna like spin this in the wrong direction, talk about school safety of your children, my children, your children's children, whatever, however, whoever it may be. It's the safest way to put adults in a classroom with your children. It's the safest way to have that consistent process, that consistent and clear communication, and the consistent and clear vision of the administrators of who they're putting within the classroom. So that's first and foremost number one. So.
And just to clarify, the measures that I think Mr. Crunger looking at, that's like a working list, for the
It was-
admin team to come together, and this is like ideas. What measures are we going to put in place to make sure that these priorities that we're meeting these priorities of these
So-
4 pillars that the
We don't even
community-
meet about stuff like, this is where I'm getting confused, because it says outline clear trade-offs, consolidating students, redistricting, selling property, building, renovating property, and repurposing. I'm looking at it like,
Well, so that's the thing,
Like-
they're trying to, the
So
measure
we-
is to
we-
come up with an idea on how to,
So when they
Make
come,
sustainable
when they come
schools.
back with the measures that they agree on, the administration, because that's at the point where the
that's the
board is not part of
implementation
the
session.
administration deciding on the goal. These measures that you're seeing right here were just
idea.
jotting down ideas that were said in the room over the course of the strategic meetings in terms of, please don't forget, we talked about
Correct.
this.
Correct.
When you get into your room with Dr. Todd, right?
Mhm.
When you get into your room with Dr. Todd, just remember that we had these discussions about these things, so
Please talk
try
about
to
them.
bring that into your, and remember, this is a 5-year plan. This is not something that we think that is any way doable in 1 year. That's when Ms. Hollowell talked about low-hanging fruit. There's things that we can get done this year, but there's things that we have to make plans for 5 years out. If we want to look at repurposing certain facilities or selling, like, that is not a small process. That's a long, drawn-out process. So it was just, the measures that you're seeing right now are just placeholders of ideas. So what we will need to approve tomorrow night, correct, is the vision, the mission, and the pillars and the priorities. And that's so that they can go into the next stuff saying that, yes, we've agreed to this, and they can make the next part
To
of the
move
plan.
on to the implementation portion of the plan.
Can I ask a
What other
question?
questions do you have?
Can I ask a question? For communication, like, how are you gonna get this out to everybody that came and gave their input? Like, are you planning on presenting this? Like you had said, like, more people came to those meetings than did the survey, right? So, I would assume, like, communicating, those people are gonna, I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm enjoying listening to this, but, I mean, there were a lot of people, and I'm sure they would be glad to see this. Now, is the only way they get to see it is to come to a meeting, a board meeting, and watch things get approved, or, like,
There's a website, not website, on our website, there is a page about the strategic plan. So all that, like this information, I don't know if this is up yet, but this information will be there, like this presentation will be
so
there.
that's the way of communicating,
But-
just through.
Until we improve our
Exactly,
communication.
Yeah,
but that's the
that's
conversation,
Yeah.
that's the continued conversation that we're going
That's
to
what I'm
have.
saying, to me, I would think you would have a meeting, I don't even, there would be nothing voted on, so I don't think all the board would have to be here either, but it would just be so that you guys can present to all of us that you took our input, and this is, after it gets approved tomorrow, I guess, this is what we've come up with.
And I think,
I don't know how many people
that's
will
what-
come.
But
I have no
that's,
idea
but
how
what
many
you're
people will
saying is,
come.
that's the conversation. So even when we talk about empowered ed, so that could be the first empowered ed.
Right.
Before we do anything else, let's talk about our strategic plan.
Yeah.
So, yes.
I think one of the
accessible to more people. It's a huge part of the
Putting it on a
conversation.
webpage is not it.
Right, and I 100% agree with you, right?
It's nice to be able to go there, but.
Right, and it's
yeah.
good to go there, but not everybody's gonna go there.
I think
talk
public meetings are
lot-
the best, but
yeah,
not
And
everybody
I talk a
likes
lot
to.
about this idea of effort aversion. If it feels too hard for me to do, I'm not gonna do it, right? And so how do you make something, how do you create ease for a community to engage with its school district, right? And so to your point, step one is to get everybody to agree, right, that this is what we're gonna do.
Mhm.
And then after that, it goes, how are you gonna make sure that people feel invested in it? That priority
Because that's how you
number
make people come.
And maybe
show
that
up.
is
That's part of
having
the parent university.
open forums
Mhm.
on top of the website, on top of, you know, sending things home with each kid. Put- Right in their little folder, right? Here it is, right? There are all
And then we'll
kinds
make
of
it
ways
known.
that once we agree
Yeah.
that this is the roadmap, that can then be made accessible to people. Because people need to be able to engage in multiple ways to feel invested. 100% agree with you.
And the public has to understand that this is a 5-year plan, it's not a 6-month or 1 year, there's a
But it has to be
process.
communicated.
A, B, C, you gotta follow, it takes time.
But like she said, if you do those little low-hanging fruits real soon, people are gonna feel like they're being heard, they're gonna feel like
you're
they're
making
making
progress.
progress, you know.
And the whole thing is with the low-hanging fruit, you pick the low-hanging fruit, guess what the next level is? That's the next level of low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, right.
Maybe put something on your Instagram. You know.
Oh, absolutely.
She has her Instagram out there, so just say, you know,
Absolutely.
look
So-
on our website at the
Favorite way of
strategic plan.
communication.
So,
yeah.
so there's an entire, I'm dangerous in my mind. There's a whole campaign that's coming, but the first step was introducing everything to the board. And from
No, I
there,
get it.
you will start to see on my Instagram and on the district's Instagram, different ways to get this information out there. And like Mr. Regan said the other day, he has 5,000, you get
5,000 views.
5,000
Just check my
views.
Instagram, you're gonna know
So-
what's going on. Please.
So he'll repost it.
Your Middlesex
So-
viral mystery.
Yes, but when we talk about low-hanging fruit, it definitely is, well, how do we get that information out? And it could be, but not everyone's on social media either, but it could be those really quick 1-minute social media, did you know? That's simple. Did you know that we were going through the strategic planning process and this is what came out? Learn more here. It could be short videos. Exactly. Newsletters. You know, we talked about newsletters and I shared that, you know, tonight's theme is the blueprint and that is the newsletter that I put out for years. But you also have to look at data. And one of the reasons why we stopped doing the blueprint in the manner that it was being done was because when you look at the analytics, it was very low. So it's like, okay, we don't need to reinvent the wheel, but how can we repurpose the blueprint so that you're reaching more people? So these are all the conversations that we started to have, we'll continue to have, and we'll put those measures in place.
So when we talk about the timeline, we would approve what part we have, and then you guys meet at the end of August.
August 24th.
So in September, hopefully, we'll have the measures.
Correct.
And the scorecards and whatever else is gonna be
Correct.
created for, you know, the rest of the plan.
Correct.
I'm just thinking maybe back to school nights, did you know? We did a
Absolutely.
strategic plan, this is where you can find information on it, or how to ask questions, or like, because most people, especially in the younger grades,
Yeah,
the
definitely.
parents go to the back to school nights. Not always in the high school, sorry guys. But, you know, we can definitely
Absolutely.
push it out at that point when we have the full thing also.
Absolutely.
And this meeting tonight is being recorded, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so that will be available to the public.
Absolutely.
It's not live streamed, so we don't know when it's gonna go up, but,
They always go up the following day.
yeah, that's, I mean, the meeting meeting's already over for them. We live stream the other meeting, we should that's another form of communication, right? We wanna start implementing this for communication, live stream both meetings.
Well, we can have that discussion when we talk about bylaw 0168.
Yeah, that's on for discussion tonight too, so. Okay. Any other questions, discussions about strategic plan so far?
This is a lot, and thank you for your beautiful souls and brains
Yes,
smashing it
thank you.
together. It's not easy.
Yes, thank
It,
you.
it wasn't easy, but they did tremendous work, and I just want to thank you, and thank you for coming tonight to present.
Thank you. Well
Thank you.
done.
Fix the allergens in this room. They're getting to me.
To be continued.
Okay, so now we will move on to our review of tomorrow night's board agenda. Okay, after we do our announcements, we move on to our meeting minutes. They are for our 4 last month, committee of the whole, and the executive session for committee of the whole on 6/15, and then our regular public meeting on 6/16. Any questions or comments on minutes? Okay. Then we will go to our personnel report by our committee chair, Mr. Nicolay.
Thank you, Danielle. We have, some contractual appointments. We do not have any classroom aides, do have some hourly positions. Substitutes, extracurricular, co-curricular stipends. 1 leave of absence. Several leaves of services, end of services rather. Transfers. There are no salary adjustments, nor are there any extra teaching assignments, nothing related to community school, some other personnel action items. That covers, personnel agenda for tomorrow. Any questions?
Yes, but I do have a question too.
Sure.
So on the substitutes, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Are these 6 part of the 9 that we mentioned?
Yes.
So that
Well,
would break it down to 3? I think
Okay,
that's
so
my
1,
question.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I would have to look at what's still posted.
I'm just
but-
wondering if that's gonna decrease on that list that you had.
Yes,
if it- okay.
I'm pretty sure that it is, but please let me check that before I say absolutely, so I'll have an answer for you tomorrow night. But yes, they're all for leaves. Sorry. I just want to point out, number 1, under other personnel action items, and this is the abolishment of the computer literacy to a STEAM position. So I just want to, again, this is a repurposing of a position. This was a position at the elementary schools where students were using or receiving tech skills. Feedback from the leadership team is that if we could repurpose that so that it's in line with what happens at Woodland. As you know, at Woodland, they have a REACH teacher that also does basically STEAM activities with students. So this would be offering STEAM to all students in K through 3 across each one of the buildings. The job description is there. So this isn't a new position. It is repurposing a position that seemed to be dated and now aligned with where we're going, even with things that we talked about in the strategic plan.
Any other questions on personnel items? Okay, we'll move on to our education report. by our committee chair, Mrs. Reynolds.
Hello, there are not too many, it's actually a light agenda for the education action items. Acceptance of anti-bullying report, the emergency fire drill report from the end of the school year, tuition out of district placement, and then we go all the way down to workshop, travel, and related expenses, there's just a couple. Student safety data systems, submission of grant applications, good luck, I hope that that's successful. And commission for the blind and visually impaired, other action items, the revisions and corrections. Is there any questions?
Yeah, I have a question on 11.02. It says none under home instruction, but it then says superintendent recommends approval of home instruction as presented. But it says none. None of the other items that say none have that written there. Like curriculum approval, just, it doesn't have superintendent recommends. So what exactly are we approving?
Yeah, that
Let
was
me
just
just-
editing.
And let me just check my notes, just to make sure we don't have any, and it didn't. So, yeah, we don't have home instruction, we have some out of district. So, yeah, it is just a clerical that will correct.
Okay.
It also still says the chair.
We changed
Yeah,
that.
it just. Can you explain the school safety data system
Yes.
report?
So this is a report that is required by the NJDOE, and it summarizes all instances of any type of, it's done twice a year, of violence, vandalism, substance offenses, and other student removals. So, as you know, you all receive monthly the HIB reports. It takes the information from the HIB reports. Another thing that you receive weekly, because it's actually in board brief also, the suspensions, it takes information from the suspension reports, and then those areas where it's not a HIB, it's not a suspension, but it's still identified as some type of behavior that should be reported to on the SDSS. So this is the second reporting for this report.
Also, just a note further in, 11.07, 11.08 probably need the same clerical correction. Where superintendent for field trips is presented, teacher and interim placements is presented.
Thank you. You said that was 11 what?
11.07, 11.08, for the same reason, and 11.10.
Okay. And we use this as a template, so
Yeah.
it was missed. Thank you so much.
Any other questions on concerns, discussions on education items? Okay. And we move on to our policy action items. There are first readings there. Those are mandated, most of them are mandated and revised, one is new.
So these are the long-awaited cell phone ban policy that came hot off the presses last week. So we had a meeting also to start, because as you can see from the attachments, that there are a lot of options that need to be selected. So we met initially to not to think about, because we've been thinking about this for some time, but to identify areas that need to be changed to be in line with this policy. And we'll have another meeting to look at those selections prior to the next board meeting. Another thing that we talked about is that it's important that families, going back to that communication piece, families know that this is happening. Yes, it's been in the newspaper, people have been talking about it, but exactly how we will be implementing it. So there will be a campaign that starts August 1st that will inform parents, well, this is how you can help us to make sure that this is going to be in place, what we're trying to do. Support your child in this initiative.
And do we have a direction on what we're doing?
Yes.
See,
assuming the yellow, that's what we currently have?
Yellow is whenever there's an option.
Okay.
So, we are in a very good place when it comes to the cell phone ban because 2 years ago, Mr. Regan, we came up with eliminating cell phones during the instructional day. So we're in a good place. It won't be sticker shock to everyone. What's difficult is that now it's completely out of sight. So even with what we were doing before, children were allowed to use their cell phones during lunch and in the passing of classes. Now, when they say bell to bell, there's none of that. So what we are looking to do, what Mr. Regan, a team, and actually our technology team, Ms. Logue, you also went, they went out to one of the magnet schools because they have piloted an app called Dorman. And because everyone, there's different ways you can go with this. You can buy pouches, which just is not sustainable. You could say, put it in your locker, but that's really not solving the problem, which we know. And something that the magnet schools looked into was Dorman, it's an app. And basically what it does is that it takes a smartphone and it turns it into a flip phone.
Paperweight?
A flip phone. So it's still usable. You could still make an emergency call. You could still use a calculator if you needed to use a calculator, but it is not an internet enabled device. So they went out, they saw it for themselves, they asked questions, they spoke to students, they were presented with data, how HIBs were decreased in that learning atmosphere. They talked about options that they provided to parents, and they came back to me and they were very excited about what they had seen. Another thing is that compared to putting it in a pouch, it's much more cost effective. The people who have created Doorman, they're very responsive in that you provide them with a suggestion and they're able to implement it almost immediately. They're very responsive to school districts. So this is something that many school districts in Middlesex County is exploring. And that's our top, right now, top alternative that we're looking at.
How do you, like, they have to download that app on their phone?
Correct.
So how do you ensure that?
So there's an entire system.
That's what I was asking, that was, you asked that question.
It is a very highly sophisticated system, and Michelle, I'm not gonna put you on the spot, but if you wanna join in, if there's something that I'm not saying that you know better than I do, please join in, but I did intend, if this was the road we were gonna do, is have someone come and present to you all. But just so that you know, it is an app, but it also is a dashboard for teachers. So if students come into your classroom, you could see on your dashboard who is in school, because it also syncs to Genesis. And you could see at a glance who has the app and they should not have their phone or a burner cell, any type of cell phone whatsoever. And then you also see students who have opted out, which means that they do not want to download the app, and that means that they do not bring their phone to school at all. So right there at a glance on the dashboard, so then you're able to address if there is someone that has a phone in the classroom, you could say, wait a minute.
You don't have the app.
Exactly. They scan it when they come in, and then they also scan it when they leave, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then that not unlocks
Unlocks
the
it.
phone, but it makes it enabled to have access to the internet. So one of the things that, if you look at that policy, there's options that says, okay, will this be just during the school day? Or will this be on the school bus? Will this be at after-school activities? So these are the types of things that we're exploring, we're having conversations about. Just last week, we had a conversation about, well, if someone doesn't bring their phone, will we, and we said that we would, have an option for them to be able to make a phone call after school if they do not have their cell phone. The most important thing also that we talked about was that it's not just cell phones, we're also talking about smartwatches and meta glasses. So there's a lot in this. We were supposed to have a session with Strauss Esme tomorrow. However, they have canceled that session and it's moved to the end of the month. But they're providing district with additional support on this. Aaron, did I leave anything out? You're coming from the attorney view of it.
No, I think that's, and the DOE just posted some.
The frequently
guidance,
asked questions,
Right.
yes.
On their website, but it sounds like everything you guys are doing is right on track.
And you have the medical waivers, I'm sure.
Absolutely, excellent point. So of course, anyone who has their cell phone for a medical reason will continue to be able to do that.
I have a question, if
Sure.
you have it linked to Genesis, like how much reliance are we gonna be using? So, if, my kids are actually appalled at how often I forget my phone, because they can't imagine walking out the door without it. But, if you do have the app and you're scanning every day, and you forget your phone, are you gonna be marked absent? Like, is there still gonna be the regular protocol of taking attendance?
Yes, regular protocol. That really is, the dashboard, and Michelle, please chime in. The dashboard is if a student has their phone and they have it out and they're not supposed to, it's, well, what's going on here? You know, it really is to track.
So it's like if the student has their phone out, the teacher can look and say, oh yeah, they have the app, so they're
Correct.
okay to have their phone out because
Or, exactly.
they're using it for a calculator
Exactly.
or whatever.
They could be using it for a calculator or.
So it's not attendance, it's for that.
And we're going to push so that they don't have it out at all. We had that conversation about the calculator. We really want them using their Chromebooks. You know, when you take an NJSLA and there is a calculator on the Chromebook, that's what we want them using their Chromebooks. Michelle, you want to add anything?
No, that's pretty good. It's the dashboard that Dr. Freeman's talking about literally just says that when those students come into my classroom, these are the list of students who should be in my classroom. And then it'll say, it'll have everybody highlighted green if they have the app and they've activated the app. The minute a student tries to deactivate the app, so you scan it when you go into the building and it activates the app. Kids are smart, right? They think that they know everything, so they'll figure out ways to deactivate the app. When that happens, administration gets a ding. Michelle just deactivated her app. When I come into my math class, right, it will show me as being red, meaning I'm not one of the people who have opted out not bringing my cell phone, but I have not activated my app. So as a teacher, I can see the students who are green and have their cell phones on them and are activated, and those that are red, which means they have their cell phone on them, but they haven't activated it. So it's that kind of.
Is that IP based? Or once you scan it, you're in essence shutting off
The app, I believe the app itself is literally just making it like you're in airplane mode,
Oh, okay.
basically.
Quick question, so, I mean, it is gonna add another, like, just an additional thing that the teachers are gonna have to keep an eye on, which I understand they're probably gonna get so much more learning done because the phones won't be out, that the minute it takes for them to check the dashboard is okay. But what about,
So, Trish, I don't mean to interrupt your train of thought, but it interacting with Genesis not only tells the teacher what students are in front of them and if they have activated the app or not, but the teachers can also take attendance right there on the app.
So as they're
So
taking
it's
attendance,
not,
they're
it's
seeing
not
that
they don't have to go
anyway.
to the dashboard and look to see who has a cell phone activated or not, and then go to Genesis and take attendance, which they do anyway, but now they're just doing it in
right there
Dorman,
on that?
yeah.
So, I don't know how many students are doing this at this point, but on job sites I run into, we're using the translate feature to talk to each other sometimes. is that something that's still active on the phone during this?
Probably not, because that's an internet-based,
Okay.
but translation can be done on the Chromebooks.
Oh, okay, there you go.
And so, you're saying, so if it shows that they're red, it's saying these, students, they haven't opted out, which means they technically can bring their phone into the school, but they haven't activated their app. So are we saying that if it's in their pocket and it stays in their pocket the entirety of the day, that's okay, right? It's not saying that they can't have it, it's just saying they can't use it, correct? Is that, I just wanna see if I understand, because she's saying it's red, that means they have it on them, but technically they could have forgot it at home,
It could be that
right?
they
So
forgot it at
how
home.
do, you can't really say, show me, like, you can't search them.
No,
so.
and that's not what we're.
No, I'm
Yeah.
just trying to, like, the way that the red and green work, I'm just trying to, like, figure.
We really are attacking this, I don't wanna say attacking, we are approaching this, that this is a bell-to-bell cell phone ban. So we should not see cell phones with the exception of course, medical. We should not see cell phones. And if there's a reason why it should be in a teacher's lesson plan and that it was prior approval as to why. But we find that for instance, we talked about if they were doing some type of video, project.
Right.
And teachers want them to video each other. Great, fantastic. It needs prior approval, which would have been in your lesson plans, checked by your principal, approved, and then it could be implemented.
And the app also allows the teachers, if it's prior approval for a lesson plan, they can say, you can access Google Classroom with your cell phone. You can specify websites that they can get to. The idea, I think, behind the whole thing is to keep them off of social media more than anything.
So for the switch on one and I so we did a lot of talk during the strategic plan about doing things very similar between the elementary schools and the middle school. How are we, I mean, I'm sure this is gonna be more of a discussion, but of how we enforce that the teachers are enforcing it, because you don't want that to be a problem between teachers too.
Correct.
Like somebody is letting it and then the person that's trying to
Correct.
fulfill ends up being the bad guy and they're really not. They're just trying to do what the school's expectations are. So you'll put some type of something in place or that they
So
know that.
we have an absolute, again, we have a campaign going out to parents, but we also are developing, we said this has to be discussed at the opening faculty meeting with all teachers. Expectations have to be set. It can't be just talking about. There has to be a complete system in place. And that's the work that we're doing right now. We're putting the system in place. What are those expectations of teachers? How will we address it? We talked about consequences when it came to students, but also we have to identify that the consistency, like you're saying, amongst the teachers.
But then you don't want all the kids and parents like complaining about a teacher.
Right.
And coming to you.
You're absolutely right.
When they're really just doing what their, what their expectations are.
You're absolutely right. Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
The worst case scenario, right, where there's an emergency and they need to get access to it, they can quickly deactivate,
Correct.
have access to for emergency.
Yes, they can. And then that will signal the teacher, and it becomes a simple conversation. You deactivated your phone, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean like fire or whatever it is,
Absolutely.
like shooting,
Yeah,
any type
even
of
that.
issues.
But even with
I'm
the app,
scared, I'm scared, because it's
yeah,
the
but
worst
even with the app
accident.
activated, they can still use it as a phone, correct? Because that's only internet. So they could like make an emergency call if they needed to without deactivating the app, right? Because you said it makes it like a flip phone.
Yes.
The
So,
kids are only making a call.
no, I know, I'm just saying if it was really
Well, we
that
said we
big.
were going to put payphones back in the
They
building.
don't,
Isn't there still one
right.
out there?
Yes, there is one out there, and Damien said he wants it if they ever get rid of it. But we did say that, we'll put payphones around.
Except they don't know how to use cash.
It's like,
Calling cards.
why didn't
Apple
you say
Kings,
it?
Apple Kings.
Nor carry it.
Do you remember?
Any other questions on policy items? Okay, then we'll move on to our facilities and finance report by our committee chair, Mrs. Vanchuk.
14.01, we have the bills list. 14.02, monthly budget transfers. 14.03, board secretary's report. 14.04, treasurer's report. 14.05, school business administrators monthly certification. 14.06, board members monthly certification. 14.07, we have 2 building use. 14.08, approval of the school lunch and breakfast prices. 14.09, community school before and after care rates. 14.10, Chromebook protection plan rates. 14.11, Middlesex Community School budget. Nothing in 14.12. 14.13, submission of toilet room facilities waivers to the NJDOE. 14.14, submission of dual-use facilities waivers to the NJDOE. Nothing in 14.15.
The building use, the first one, I just know that it's not a holiday bazaar, because I know what they're using it for. So I don't know if you just wanna put the name, Middlesex AYC, that they're using it, cause it's for they're doing like choreography or something. Any questions, comments, concerns on facilities and finance items? Okay, then we're done with tomorrow night's agenda, and we'll go back to tonight's agenda. We are gonna do our board retreat for our team huddle, but can we take a quick break
Yes.
to use the
Absolutely.
restroom?
What if she said no?
Based off of that strategic plan that you heard about tonight. So, yes, another thing that Mr. Thornton said, this is a Bob the Builder theme. And no, not quite, but it is a blueprint theme. And as I said during the strategic planning presentation, when I first became superintendent, I started the blueprint, which was a newsletter. And this was a perfect opportunity to revamp that theme, the blueprint. What are we doing here? We're looking at blueprints. The builder hat says we're going to build on the strategic plan. And how are we going to put things in place that it's not just words on a paper, but it's actions. So it's the board tonight coming up with 3, hopefully 3 draft goals that you'll be accountable for also. Okay? So, why do we gather? There's 3 things we're going to do tonight. We're going to reflect, so there's going to be a period of reflection. There's going to be a period of connection, getting to know each other a little bit better, and inspiration, how we're going to move forward. So we're going to honor the journey, strengthen our relationships, and ignite bold thinking. But I will start with a little public service announcement, okay? At my core, I'm an educator, and I know that standing up here and the things that maybe we are going to do tonight may seem a little unconventional, but I believe the best learning happens when people have opportunities to reflect, connect, collaborate, and engage with ideas in meaningful ways. Every day we ask our students to move beyond simply sitting and listening. We ask them to think, share, create, and learn from one another because we know these experiences deepen learning and strengthen relationships. Today's retreat reflects that same philosophy. Participation may look different to each of us. Some may process by speaking, some by listening, some by writing, and some by observing. All forms of participation
are valued and respected. This approach simply reflects who I am as a leader, an educator, and a lifelong learner. So, if it means you have to get up and sing, dance, okay, no, you're actually not going to do that tonight. But we know that learning is fun. It's meant to be fun. When we think about our teachers, it's not about sitting and getting. It's about us being active participants in our learning. So with that, we're going to start with our team building 3.0, okay? There's 4 simple things that we're going to do, all right? The first thing we're going to do, it's called Design with a Purpose. So yes, over here I know you saw the wonderful giant Jenga, and it is symbolic that we're building something. So you're going to select a card. There's 9 cards here for 9 members of the Board of Education. And each card is connected to either reflection, connection, or inspiration. You'll read what's on the card, and you'll answer it. Once you answer it, you're going to take a Jenga block and move it to the top. Pretty simple, right? Yeah? We're good? Okay, so to go over it one more time. First, you're going to select a card. You're going to build with intention, respond openly. Every voice strengthens the structure. And hey, if you want to join in with something, a response that someone has, please, by all means, do. Okay? Number 3, strengthen through commitment. Pull a block and place it on top to keep building. And then our blueprint for the future, as we learn, we develop understanding. Okay? So, who's going to go first? Oh, wow.
I don't even know what
Well, Todd's like, I'm gonna pull the first block because it's gonna be.
Safe.
It's the safest bet.
You're right.
You can't take the top.
So, read what category it is and then read the question.
Inspiration. What would make you most proud of Middlesex 5 years from now? Very easy. That the community, the Board of Education, and town council and mayor are all moving in one direction. Not necessarily the same thought process, but working together for the best of the community.
Give him a hand.
Are you allowed to use 2 hands?
Those books are huge. Okay, you can take it with you if you
I'll
want
go,
to.
because I want to.
Just so that you know where
Danielle
you're
said,
at.
I don't want to knock it over, so I'll bring it. All right. Connection. What do you hope people experience when they interact with Middlesex?
Wait, I'm sorry, read that again.
What do you hope people experience when they interact with Middlesex? With Middlesex, the entire town, the school district? The school district.
Well, take it any way you want. It's open.
Do they experience? I mean, I just hope that their gut reaction is just a happy one. Like when I am at work and I say I'm from Middlesex, I'm proud and I want people to know what a great place I think it is. So I hope that people experience the town the way I look at it through my point of, through my vision, which is pleasant and I like everybody. Mostly everybody. I mean, the ones I don't know, but, so that's it.
Good. Yes. And you can take the question so it doesn't repeat.
Okay.
Yes.
I think we were both looking at each other. Okay.
Grab one, huh? Let's even out the sides.
Sorry that if you got wet. Sorry about
The
that.
wet one, wow.
Oh.
Reflection. What accomplishment should we celebrate more? Is that individually or?
any way you read it, I don't want to influence,
Okay, no, I'm just,
maybe as a board.
we're here together. It's 9 individuals. The 9 individuals and the I'm sorry. I started going through everybody. There's a common goal. We should embrace the common goal. We don't have to agree on everything, but the common goal is for this district to prosper. How does that work? Not one person can do it. Not 2 people can do it. Not 3 people can do it. It's everybody here. See, I circled it. Takes everybody out there. Then we see meetings, we can have accomplishments, but we only have 2 or 3 people here. By doing that, showing our accomplishments, letting people know, hey, this is what we did. This is how we did it. That's the whole thing with the strategic planning. Let people know, hey, this is the plan. Get it out there. If you have any questions, you know what a meeting is, come. I don't take my accomplishments, I personally take very seriously on what I'm doing and what I'm doing to help others, because that's why I was put on this earth, for one reason only, help others. Some of you know already, my best friend of over 50 years, she lost her condo Thursday in the storm. Gone. Everything, and she's lived there for 30 years, everything gone. Helping others. It could be financially, it could be just being there, holding them, give them a hug, shake their hands, good work, anything positive. My accomplishment in that perspective is being there for others. We're all here for others. We should all be here for others, not ourselves, for others. We represent other people. Being there for other people. For example, since this happened Thursday, I've been leaving work, driving down to Old Bridge, and getting home at midnight. Share my experience. I never experienced that much of a disaster, but I'm there. And I learned from others how they got through it. And certain things, even in death of a family member. Guess what? Anything goes on with me, I let people know. Because you know what? You let people know, there's a high probability that someone you're talking to knows someone who went through exactly what you're going through. And you can say, hey, how'd you do it? It's accomplishment. They accomplished something. You're using their accomplishment for yourself so you can accomplish. By doing that, you can accomplish anything. I'm done.
Thank you. Gotta do your Jenga. Gotta do your Jenga block.
Oh! No. Should I play it safe? No, I'm not taking that one.
You played before.
You gotta test them.
I'm glad I didn't have that much coffee. Because that would have been real hard if I was all caffeined up. This way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't knock it over.
I probably would.
Bump into the
Chugging
table.
and trip into it. Reflection. What is one moment related to our schools that makes you smile? I think of exact ones. You know what I mean? There's like things that have happened that I think are really cool, but I'm trying to think what one that was my favorite. I have to say, probably since being on the board, I didn't know about the Kindness Club. I really was not aware of that, and I've really enjoyed seeing those presentations. And when it comes up and just what they're all about, and how I really think that they bring kids together, where they feel left out, not part of it. And I think it's a really beautiful thing. And when I see those presentations here, so I can't say one thing, when they do their presentations, I really think it is something that really makes me smile. Yeah, it makes me happy. I feel like it brings kids together, parents together, everyone together.
My favorite's graduation. I just wanted to put that out there.
No, not that one.
I'm already stressed out, okay? No, I don't know what I'm doing. This is not fun now.
Yeah, I think so technically, but we're not going by the rules at this point.
It's on camera, just.
Yeah, I know, that's all I do.
Good job.
I am.
Yeah.
Is there a difference in the colors?
Nope.
A little wet.
Not as wet as Tom's.
How smart is it?
Inspiration. If resources were unlimited, what would you create for students? I have a whole list if I won the lottery, what I would, if resources were unlimited, I would build a new school with everything under the sun imaginable to make the students' lives exciting, fun, and educational. You wanna try? Nope.
You know what you're doing.
I had to go before it got too high, I couldn't reach.
We're gonna have to stand there and just like.
Inspiration. What gives you hope about the future of education? Obviously, I think the strategic plan. I think that is a good starting point to get us going in the direction where we're continuing to improve our schools and doing it to the expectation of the community as well. Having them be able to see measurable outcomes, to know that, this is not something that we just did to do. We really are improving our school, and that gives me a lot of hope about where this district in particular is going.
Oh, oh, what
The
was-
table. I knew I'd be the one.
There you go.
is never ending.
I know.
Hello.
Good job.
Walk away.
Anyone else? Okay.
So to share what the other ones are, connection. Who was an educator who changed your life and why? Anyone? An educator that changed your life and why?
David Deal, high school choir teacher, taught me more about the love of music that I was there and I'm still living today.
Sister Alice, probably the meanest teacher I ever had, ironically a nun and music teacher, but ridiculously organized, like you couldn't not learn in her class, even if you tried. You couldn't not learn. She was that amazing as a teacher.
Awesome. Anyone else?
Mine was Mrs. Fitzmaurice, and it was the opposite. She was probably the nicest person, and it just made, like, every time you went into her classroom, you just felt like it was so welcoming, and you felt, well, I felt anyway, ready to learn, because I felt confident and comfortable in her presence.
Another connection. What makes a team successful?
Collaboration.
No free agents on the team.
Expand. Expand on that.
Expand on that? I was waiting for you to, I knew you were gonna say that.
Of course I was going to.
Sure, no free agents, no one person going with one idea and not being open for change, listening. A team takes, for example, we'll use baseball.
Love it.
You need 9 players. I mean, we can actually use the World Cup. The World Cup, when somebody, they were only playing with 10.
Yep.
They were playing, okay, do it this way, your star player gets hurt. Okay, where's that 10th guy? He became one of the 9. Can he replace that one key player? Partially. Who's replacing the other parts? Where teamwork comes into play. It's not just that one player who's been sitting on the bench and all of a sudden he gets called in. It's the other ones that pick them up. You can have the 10th player or the one on the bench. Oh, I'm going in, I don't like this person, I don't like that person, I don't like the way coach coaches. It's not gonna work. Plain and simple.
I would say being open-minded. Being open-minded is what I said. So not just disagree because whether you don't like a person or like whether it's the community, whether it's each other. I may agree with you, but be willing to listen and say, wait, I never looked at it that way, or I never thought about it that way. So be willing to hear somebody out and try to look at it from your point.
Yeah, and that's part of being a team is being able to step back and I guess you can, I've heard this analogy, the 30,000-foot view. Or what I say a lot, there's several channels on TV. Don't just watch one.
I think it's important to be able to disagree respectfully. And bring your opinions and your concerns in a way that, people are willing to listen because they feel safe in the environment.
Anyone else? And that's what team building's all about, right? Creating that safe environment where you as a board get to know a little bit about one another, that you're able to make those connections, that you're able to reflect, and that moving forward, a retreat is supposed to be an opportunity to say, okay, this is what we did, and this is how we're going to move forward. This is our opportunity. Sometimes, and I've said this for those of you who have been on the board for longer than me, but as long as I have been here, I said, you know, the easy work is what's in front of you. That's the easy work. The hard work is working with one another. And you have to find a way to work with one another and be able to have conversations and make sure that collaboration that you're talking about, that it's productive, that you're able to interact respectfully, and that we can disagree at times, but we are open-minded, and that we are listening, and that when there's an opportunity to get an answer, that we're going towards the source that can get the answer. Now, sometimes you may not like the answer. However, we're not taking that it's not the answer I want as not getting an answer, because that's not the case. But that's us as a board, how we operate, how we work together. And that's why these little team building exercises is just to continue to strengthen that so that we can do that hard work when we do disagree. So with this, we're going to move into our 4 pillars. So you heard about student success, you heard about employee excellence, sustainable schools, and friends and family. And I also gave you a little cheat sheet right there on your clipboard. So what we're going to do, our last activity for tonight, to start to build out these board goals, is that you're going to take a gallery walk, okay? So there's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, which represents the 4 pillars, okay? There's 4, and you're going to visit each one for 5 minutes. And you're going to ask yourself, if this pillar is fully realized, what will success look like? Okay? So the group that's going to be student success, that's your question. If this pillar is fully realized, what will success look like? But also, there's some additional things if you want to add on your little cheat sheet. There's one that says, what will they achieve? This just helps you to get your juices flowing. What will they achieve? What will they, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. What will they remember? What will they remember? What will they become? Thank you. I'm getting old.
What will they create?
What will they create?
Sharon, come on.
Okay. And so the same thing for our next pillar, employee excellence. It's the same general question of, if this pillar is fully realized, what will success look like for our employees? But there's a few question stems included on that one. Okay, are we clear of what we're doing? Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to rotate, and I'll tell you when time is up, and you're going to get a nice little marker, and you're going to answer that question. Okay?
In groups?
In groups, yes. Give me 1 second.
A brownie will help you.
A brownie.
No,
That's not in the box.
I'll tell you what you can do.
It's not in the box.
Just give me that box. Sorry the box isn't pretty. But everyone, yeah, shake it up, shake it up, shake it up.
It doesn't shake anymore.
Shuffle them around, shuffle them around, shuffle them around. So they're labeled 1, 2, 3, and if you get a 1, all the 1s will come together, all the 2s will come together, all the 3s will come together. 1s will start at student success, which is right there. 2s will start at employee excellence, which is right there. And 3, sustainable schools, will go right here. 4 will be blank for now, but then we'll rotate. Are we good? Okay.
So it's just these 3.
Right now, and then we'll add 4 in the next round. Okay?
That's my favorite one. 3, 1, 3.
So you'll go there?
We have a graduation rate?
We do.
Yeah.
I'll get that for you.
I was just curious if I said.
I can get you last year's graduation, right? It's right on our.
Well, as long as we have it.
Absolutely. We're required.
Thank you.
Someone's getting it today.
You can do it, man. Sorry, I didn't have to agree. I was like stuck to the side.
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
This gives you an opportunity to also discuss.
Hard.
Oops, sorry. This gives you an opportunity to discuss in your group the pillar. All right. So I'm starting the timer now. Ooh, I'm picking up the wrong turn. Sorry.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night. Can someone join Sharon? So she's not the lonely number one? Thank you.
Well, we got it right, Trish.
Supportive?
Yeah, that the teachers are supportive of the schools, should be vice versa too, right?
Facility safety.
Student success. Oh, yeah, you could write employee success at the top. Or employee excellence.
Don't give them all your ideas, I need you in 5 minutes. I can help?
No, I just.
Which one do you guys have?
Yeah, I got it.
I told I could join a group.
Oh my gosh, she's so funny.
See, I'm not the only one. I didn't do good ones.
What's that?
Glasses. Shut it up there.
Experience will make you happiness.
Do you have any questions about the strategic plan?
Yeah. Really, I think it's still too early in development to, real opinion, you know what I mean? Like, we're gonna see what the metrics look like, what, that's really what the meat and potatoes of it's going to be. This is just a very brief overview. So it's, you know what I mean, there's not really a lot to judge there.
Well, the priorities themselves, I mean, yes, the metrics are very important because we want to make sure that we're measuring it accurately. But even prior to getting to the metrics, like the focus priorities, like, is that addressing what our stakeholders brought forth?
Extracurricular facilities.
Again, that's remains to be seen, because we didn't get any of the data that was actually set forth.
I don't know, we're kind of like, we're kind of.
Something in a framework that
They're writing a lot.
you don't have the whole picture, you know what I mean?
We're making our own rules over here.
If that makes sense. Like, you know, if you're asked to vote on something, you should have the text of the law, not just vote on the overview.
3 minutes are up.
Uh-oh, we're done.
Go to your next one. And the 3 minutes for the next one.
So we go to
Go around, you're
we
gonna
go
go to
to
4.
one?
You're gonna go to 4. Yes, the lonely one that's not there, yes. So what you're voting on is
It's just,
the,
and is the next step
is
in the
now
process.
we're on one now?
Yeah, I
Go back to
understand that,
student
it's hard to
success.
have questions without knowing what the next steps of the process look like. Like, this is.
Families and friends.
Families and friends experience.
So if it helps, family and friends is like community also. Like we did alliteration. We were big on alliteration.
The town, what it's gonna be, that the town's
this is sort of,
So, I mean, it's,
That's one thing my
success
parents,
is contagious.
so my parents always say they're never gonna move, but if they did,
Because we
they
can't
said
say,
that if
so
you don't
to
have
give
good
an example,
education
let's take
system, you weren't
communication.
gonna wanna
Well,
come here.
we can't say that we're going to provide everyone with a device that they can communicate directly with. So how can we do that without having leadership input? Because ultimately, you sitting here at this table and me, even as superintendent, I'm not the person who will do the implementation.
No
So
room
it
for
would
you.
be very empty to create measures and metrics without them
Success is
actually
contagious.
being
Rich,
part
but
of
not
it,
necessarily.
because of the fact that they're the ones who have to do
I
it.
fully
So,
get that, but
right.
I gotta see what the broader picture looks like. Once we start getting some guidelines, some metrics, some implementation,
Right?
to be able to, hell
O-U-S.
yeah, I have to like spell it out.
No, the I was right, but that's
I-O-U-S.
contagious, yeah.
It's
I always,
an
that's how I
evaluation process, it's
spell
not.
stuff. I have to like
Absolutely,
say.
that was that entire circle, but just
Yeah.
I
for
forgot I had
this, for
something
the
in my brain,
purposes
and I
of
started
the
spelling.
strategic plan, this is what was identified as, these are the areas,
Oh, I think
these are the priorities, and now
like
plugging in
across
those
as
metrics
well.
that support those priorities.
Like
Right.
Ryan was
And
saying,
seeing how it all shakes out.
what we're doing at one school,
That, you know what I
we
mean?
should be
Like,
doing it at all the schools, so that
Obviously,
parents don't feel
you
like
have
when
to
they're
look
taking
at
this elementary
something
school
to
into
continue.
Woodland,
But
and now everything's different.
tell
You
you
know, how
until I
do,
see what
how are we communicating with our
You
teachers?
can't
Because it's
tell
different now. At elementary
where it's
school, they
going,
send
but you
papers
do
and things.
know
Now they wanna
what
send
we're
emails, or they want,
focusing
you
on.
know,
Right,
whatever.
so,
I
and that's
think
what you're voting on, that
consistency-
you agree that
consistency is
you,
the big
that we're
thing.
focusing on students, employees, families, and our schools. And then those, exactly, it's the foundational pieces, and that,
So like you can
kind of
move
like what
it.
the team said, that over 5 years, these are the things each year that we're
Oh,
focusing on.
cursive.
It's something we've got to see evolve.
You're in a different school. You want what's going on in fifth grade here, same as what's going on here.
So that, and especially if, like you said, if the kid, if they move.
That was another
then
3
they don't have to
minutes.
worry about
Rotate.
having, you know, the fear of teamwork.
Yeah.
Oh, we're moving already?
We don't go.
Ah, you go to
Now 4
4.
goes to 1.
Don't cheat.
Got me all confused.
Follow by numbers.
What number is this?
That's 4.
That's 4.
That's 4.
Families and friends?
Families and friends.
Oh, okay.
Didn't we just? Oh, okay, I knew that. Totally got this. Okay, I'll follow this.
I know, it's really warm in here.
Realize to reflect on facilities, resources, and opportunities and stewardship.
But he can
What
control
will
things.
really notice?
Home,
I mean, I shouldn't be surprised.
But before we do the discussion on the 0168, has the legal team reviewed any of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Legacy and privilege.
Skills.
I'm taking my hat home for Owen.
Oh, that's cute.
The communication says it there, but
That's kind of transparency.
Yep.
Better social
That's what I'm choosing. What will, you know,
Another part of the process with this that I'm used to seeing that I didn't was, they go back from the legal team, where it's presented to me, what I should change, what I should leave the same, what works, what doesn't work.
All for one.
Well, that's, it's a discussion.
No, I get that, but, you know, if there's something in here that's illegal, that,
Oh, they would have sent something.
Okay.
That would have
there you go.
been brought
I
forward.
didn't get an email at all about it from them guys.
Did you
Well,
reach
you
out to
would,
us?
Huh?
no, you would, it's,
Sorry?
Did you ask for one?
Well, no, I said
I'm
this-
sorry, I just thought you wanted us to be prepared to discuss it tonight.
No,
Otherwise, I would have,
I said it
been happy to email you.
Yeah.
Ahead of time, I just thought you wanted us to be ready to discuss it tonight, so that's.
right.
Yeah.
And that's what, so the process is, we sent it to our attorney.
Yeah.
And if there was anything that was, it would have, exactly. So it's all discussion, this is not.
Okay. Like I said, I'm used to more legal input on stuff before it goes to discussion. Which is how, you know, ordinances and stuff are done at the borough level, at the school level, everything's slightly different procedure.
Oh, Tom.
There are definitely different procedures. I think it was very important to first have a discussion.
Okay.
And because there's other things that will come out during the discussion.
There you go, yeah.
And then sending it a complete package. This, right now, this is just what you wrote up.
Yeah.
With no board input whatsoever. So by having their input and then sending it to the legal team to even look at it more thoroughly.
Yep.
Whatever that looks like.
Your face.
But every time I get shocked, I know.
All right.
It's one of those, like, the operation.
Still writing.
Anticipating it, and then when it happens, we
Well,
just-
the timer's going. I'm resetting. On to the next.
Cutting into our next 3 minutes.
All right, this is,
Yes, so the next rotation, you'll be back at your original start. At the next one.
Engagement, trust, and partnership.
Took me the whole time.
What will families experience?
Sense of belonging. I guess this is
I
pretty
was
much
gonna
the
say, I was
same.
gonna say that.
Fellow students remember you.
I love the smell of the marker. It reminds me of being a kid. I mean, it's-
So it says, what will families
Remember?
experience?
Yeah.
Communication,
Xerox.
engagement,
Support.
trust.
Support for them or them support?
Like, help is available.
Oh, okay, so
Families that are
supported.
and they could feel relieved that they could come, you know,
Oh, good one.
relief. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you knew that, Ms. Mar.
Put them in a tea.
Is that better?
I'm just busting. Go like that.
Do you want to
Yeah.
discuss
They
it
allow
now
that?
or?
They didn't do it anymore?
Wait, what is it?
1 minute warning.
Wait.
It's just
So you-
Wrote me back and said, it looks like someone
Spent
turned it
money well
off.
spent, money well spent.
0168.1.
Oh, yeah.
Because 0168.1.
Or part of it. But like, I think if the community
No issue with that.
like could see
Because I brought strawberries.
the results,
You told me.
So
Looked it up.
the electronic recording, I mean, there's, maybe it's some like legal, potential legal, practical.
I mean, they do see results, but I'm saying we see results.
You notice we always get teamed together?
The English teachers correcting.
I was sassy. You looked at me and asked if it was right. 5, 4,
That's right.
3.
It said IOUS.
Okay. Just go back to your original where you started.
Just because the event is held here. Okay. So I was in that. And
We got our 3s.
Do you want us to throw these out?
Okay, look at what is written, and then we're just going to go wrap it around what themes emerge at where you're standing, and rapidly. You don't have to explain it. Just look at the common, what was common? And remember, these are the things we're going to build or try to draft some board goals with. So even if you want to circle them really quick, what were the common themes? Common language. What are we going to focus on? What should rise to a board priority? So remember, the board priority. Something that you can govern.
value and support.
Circle the 2. Should I circle all of them?
I do it right? Did I do my homework right?
There's no right or wrong.
There you go.
Didn't I have that on the slide?
Yeah, you
It
did.
said there was no right or wrong, just, what was it? I said
See,
bold.
they're Danielle, they're
There it is.
You did great. Thank you.
They're circling and.
All I wanted to
There are no wrong answers. Dream boldly. Okay? All right, here we go. Share out. Group one.
We're three, okay.
What were the common themes?
Go ahead. So it seems like overall there's two themes.
Okay.
One of them is leadership or preparation. So you have prepared, leadership, confidence, success, all connect and then become anything they want, right? Nothing says mathematician, and while I value that, I love that it's
Right.
this shows the bigger picture.
Right.
You want to do the other one?
So then, these all look the same. Great times they will never forget, the best 4 years of their life, pride in where they came from, feeling included. So, just,
Best 4 years of their life?
well.
Until they got to college.
Until they got to college.
Best 13 years of their
Yeah.
14
Good.
years now.
14.
14, pre-K 3,
Okay,
So we'll
15.
say 15. I'm sorry, there was a 1 missing. That's 14 years of their life.
I'm in the high school, I was thinking high school.
Great job. So now think about, now how does that turn into a board goal? Just hold it. Yes, you're next, go. What emerged?
Supported, and value. Those were the two that we kind of see going
See
through.
across.
Yep.
So, just to, the same thing, how does that develop into a board goal for employee excellence? Think about what you do. Hold it tight, hold it tight, hold it tight. We're gonna get there, but what does that look like from the board? Remember, you're here, and then it has to go all the way down, okay? Go for it.
So we kind of did the same as number ones did. So we feel that a couple of them, they emerge as themes because they kind of go together. So I'll do this one. Top tier innovative extracurricular facilities. And then somebody put top notch labs. So I think, having innovative labs and extracurricular facilities will make us really stand out.
Okay.
And then you want to do the other
Oh, I'll do the other one. Safe facilities, building improvements, ditto. It says ditto, somebody didn't feel like writing. By having safe and building improvements, the school will feel like a second home, which all of these bring you to more productive students and teachers. They all line together.
Good. So now your job will be to put that in a board goal. And now I'll read this. Here, for families and friends. Success is contagious, united, belonging, supported, relief. Being part of a bigger family, the Middlesex family, money well spent, consistency. So other themes that we even heard this evening when we talked about strategic planning. So, since we're looking at 3 goals, it really is, well, how do we also incorporate these? Or do we do 4 goals? That's up to you. They're not my goals. They are the board's goals. So, thank you. Have a seat. And let's work through quickly draft goals. And we'll popcorn them. Erin, can you record? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah,
So we're number 3, so we're working on our number 3 goal, or everybody?
Everyone will join in, but 3 will will facilitate number 3, okay? So number 1, student success. What does that look like in a goal? And don't worry about putting it in a SMART goal just yet. We'll do that. We need to just get the bones down. Think about the board's role in student success.
I think
What are,
we need to support, activities that create those great times. You know,
Good.
great times they will never forget, right? We have to be able to support that, whether that's, you know, financially or in any other way, just so that they're able to have those experiences.
so if I even think about what was brought out in the strategic plan and how you can even marry that family and friends piece, is that they talked about the opportunity, right? We talked about Empowered Ed Parent University. So creating times that are well spent, well, parents have to know about it, right? There has to be communication, right? So again, what's the board's role there? How does the board support that? How does the board?
Ensuring they all get, you know, high quality instruction.
No one's left out.
High quality instruction, so that goes to that hiring piece. No one's left out, that's that equity piece. Anything else? How do you measure it?
Standards.
Give me more, give me more.
Well, create a standard. Let's say you have a new program that you want to start, extracurricular, whatever, and there's 12 students that signed up. Okay, here's your benchmark. How do you want to improve that incrementally, let's say, next year? How do we get to that 15,
So that's-
16 level?
So that's district, what's the board going to do? Because remember, the implementation
Oh, yeah.
comes over
Okay,
here.
yeah.
But what's the board's role in that?
Be willing to hear out what's being presented to us on the agenda and take the time to ask why, and then we give our vote, so ultimately, that usually isn't.
Correct, so it can look like there's agenda items that are related to these things that we're talking about, and that we're supporting those. It could look as if the professional development or professional learning of teachers who are facilitating these types of events, that they're going for that professional learning. Again, it's on the board agenda. You're asking questions like you just said. We relate it back to the strategic plan, and then it becomes how the board is supporting it. And again, they're supporting it, funding, they're supporting it by maybe hosting it, having it here. What else?
Attending.
Attending our,
There you go.
yeah.
There you go.
Wouldn't that be under leading by example?
There you go.
Showing up.
Maybe so as we develop these empowered eds, that board members, how many board members are going to attend? How many will you attend? If there's 10, what are you setting?
What goal are we setting for ourselves to be out there in public at these school functions?
By showing excitement about these things that are,
And showing
you know,
up.
happening.
Because guess what? Everybody knows that we're the board. Everybody knows who we are in town. If we're showing up, they'll be like, oh yeah, I saw this Schuler at that.
And it's not just graduation, it's where'd you go to,
The living museum. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
The Living Museum,
I went to the
Concerts
Huskies.
Place,
Did you?
show up at the football game on a Friday night,
We don't
Back
do
to
that.
school night.
but back to school.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can do back to school night.
Absolutely. Mrs. Schuler comes to every back-to-school night. She doesn't miss one.
She stays
Mrs.
here.
Parenti has come to almost every single one. We've walked several together. But I'm at every back-to-school night. The only time I'm not at a back-to-school night is if my kids have a back-to-school night.
Well,
that
but you're
same
still
day.
at back to school night.
I'm at some back-to-school night. But yes, board members, absolutely, at back-to-school nights. Are you okay?
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Okay.
You really did.
Broke it.
That wasn't my hip.
You're at back-to-school nights. What else? I think we nailed that one. There's a lot. That's a good one. So that's student success?
I think
show your enthusiasm for
Yeah.
these.
Good with that one? So that's student success, which one was that, Aaron?
Yeah.
Okay, so now moving on to employee excellence. How does the board support employee excellence?
Improving professional development.
There we go, improving professional development. And what does that look like?
Offering more different fields, what they're interested in. Do they want to improve? Or do they just want to stay at one level? Question is, what staff wants to go to that next level?
Make leaders, teach it.
What are their individual goals? I just want to teach for 30 years, that's all, that's it, okay, I'm done. Or do they want to go, what's next?
But we don't have control over that, so just, I think we have control over providing opportunities.
Oh, no, that's what I mean, we're providing opportunities for them.
That's our.
I can't talk to you with that hat on.
Expectations.
I think
I'm building.
supporting like what the administrative team, like the professional, so, you know, the building principals, they know what their teachers need for the most part, right? So supporting them, even with funding for professional development that they bring forward because they're either one, their teachers have asked for it, or they feel like it's needed in their school, or in the elementary schools as a whole, per se. So, you know, I think sometimes, and obviously money is always a big thing, but I think sometimes too many people make that the driving factor when we can't accomplish a lot of these things if we're not open to funding them as well, you know.
But for
Most of it's not free.
But you know what, for example, we spend what, $140,000 on the scooter? It's an investment in the future.
Not 140,000.
How much?
44,000.
44,000. Oh, I thought it was 44,000 a year. Is it a 44,000
Per year,
a year?
though, right?
Yes, if we continue.
If we continue, well,
Well, the
that's
second
what.
year is a coaching year.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so
Mhm.
the 40.
So their
we're
job will
investing.
be, yes,
We're
it's an investment.
investing for us to get better.
Mhm.
For not only the board members, but everybody to lift up.
And then I think that's
Professional
how we
development.
support them as well.
And professional development is supported through state funding too, or federal funding also, so that's helpful.
Yeah.
But it's where we're going, even we're having a conversation about grants. So when grants are put forward, that as the board, that you're voting on those things. You're voting on those grants that we're going for. You know, last year we went for the coach grant, we went for the lift grant. We were able to bring a substantial amount of money into the district. So the board supports in that manner also.
I also think asking questions, you know, like a lot of times we sit here and we have our own opinions or questions or concerns, and sometimes we don't always bring them to everyone. You know, we kind of keep them to ourselves and then just shoot things down without maybe putting our opinion out there so that somebody else may have something deeper to think about when it comes to those things.
Can I go in a different direction?
Sure.
I think we could do a better job at highlighting our staff. We do the ones.
So going beyond employee of the month.
Yes, because that's one person, 12 months, right?
Yeah.
That, but we have a lot more people than that.
I second that.
Yeah, I like that
You could have the employee of the month at every school, it doesn't have to be just that, okay, teacher of the month. I mean, that could be endless.
Or
You
the
could-
schools decide through this strategic planning process to implement something like that where they do that at each school, again, showing up, you know?
Right.
Showing up, like, a lot of times personally, for me, I think of showing up as like, for the students, because I like the Living Museum and the award ceremonies and things like that, because I just like to watch the kids, you know, that's more fun. But, I think showing up for any kind of awards or recognition for teachers or employees is also very important.
But, and board members have also shown up for professional learning.
I was just gonna say that.
We have had, in the past couple of years, had professional, board members show up for professional learning. And that also goes a long way to the employees, that they see that you're learning right along with them.
And the opening
Yes, the
first day
opening,
of school.
the opening
And I
day.
know, like, that's hard because
I
most
know,
of us have
everyone
jobs.
works, I get it.
So, but you know, if you can, it is, that's also a very good event, so. But I think that's part of it.
The pressure's
showing-
on for this year.
I was just gonna say, what's the theme?
But wouldn't that be further education through the
My head's so
NJSBA,
pictures,
so
it
we
doesn't
can
even
become
make
better
sense.
board members, so we can
That's true too. Doing like training and stuff so that
Training
we
and
know
stuff.
our job and our role to best support all of these things. He said doing like doing training so that we better know our responsibilities and our roles as a board member to support all of these
And
pillars.
they're on the website.
So on the website, attending the county meetings, attending the state.
See, attending the county meetings is really huge. I've learned there's so much in what, wow, a year and a half. Going to county meetings, see how different boards do things, just by talking, just by listening, you know? It's, I mean, it's amazing.
And most of them are virtual, so it makes it easier
I
now.
like to drive.
Yeah, but for some people, you know, it's easier.
Oh, yeah,
to-
but they're, yeah, exactly.
So it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
All right, sustainable schools.
Just gotta improve the facilities, make them look good,
It's the board's role.
spend the money.
It doesn't always have to go back to
It
money.
doesn't have to go back to money, you have to see
What about policy?
It's about policy, it's about, setting goals, like, okay, prioritize what needs to be done, which we do, right, Sharon?
What's that?
Prioritize which,
Yeah.
every year, every summer, we're doing something different. Prioritize.
Well, we have our long-range facilities
Yeah,
plan.
yeah.
And from the long-range
Yeah.
facilities plan, we identify with our architects those projects
Mhm.
that are most pressing, that we should
Yeah,
be
like
taking a look at.
Right, exactly.
And then we're also always looking for creative ways to get those projects done. So what does that look like from the board?
Ultra creative, please.
Yes, ultra creative, where they pay 100%. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we can try.
Nothing wrong with 50/50.
I'm gonna table this and we'll,
No, well, here we go. How can we, as a board, make the schools feel welcoming and like a second home
While being safe.
Yeah.
while being safe?
I mean, I guess a lot of us go to the different schools on occasion, so just being observant, you know, observing things and bringing them to the appropriate person, to you or to the facilities team, you know, saying, hey, I was at this school and I saw X, Y, and Z, maybe that's something you should look at, you know, so just kind of.
but it
helping
shouldn't
to-
turn into a list that you're
No, no,
going out
right.
looking
No,
for.
no, but if you
Exactly,
observe
if you're
something,
there and you
you're
observe
there,
something,
yes.
absolutely, that you report it to the people that can do something about
Mhm,
it.
mhm.
Absolutely.
How do we make that a goal, but?
Open your eyes. That's the goal. Use your
See
eyes.
something, say
See
something.
something,
Have
say
a-
something, be
Have a
aware.
conversation about it. Have a conversation. That we go to the appropriate channels to address our concerns, where we can get answers.
Just really quick, our appropriate channels are you.
Yes.
No, I'm saying, we don't reach out to the
Board president,
board president or.
me,
But I meant.
but, or
don't
if you
go to
are
staff.
reaching, no, never
Right,
to
that's
staff.
how I learned that the
Correct.
hard way, but with a
Correct.
slap on the wrist, so.
Correct, but even if you come to me, just always, you know, making
What if it's a
sure that,
Wouldn't be the first time.
making sure that the board president
Or
knows,
bring
but
it up.
absolutely.
If you're on that committee, bring it up at your.
Bring it up at your
meeting.
committee, absolutely. But I will say this, bring it up ahead of time, so that there can be a conversation about it. You know, sometimes when it's brought here, I may not, or Annette may not, or Aaron may not have all of the information that you're looking for. But if you bring it to me ahead of time, we can do our due diligence to bring you the information.
it goes back to Mary Ann, right? Last month when she did her, that was last month, right?
Yeah. It seems like ages ago, but
Right.
yes, it was last month.
But she talked about when you have questions, the appropriate channels, and no surprises, right? That when we have questions, we seek the answers from the people who have the answers so that they're able to provide it to us. And that we can have productive discussion. Okay? I'm sorry, I'm not a mind reader. I don't know. But if you ask me, I'm going to look it up. I'm going to find out. Last one. Family.
Recorded.
But we're living in a modern age now.
I
So
understand, but we have technology. We had power go out here the other day.
This is my point. I think the wording needs to say, because it does say on here, if in the event the public meeting is held at an off-site or non-board controlled location where live streaming is not available or feasible, then we can record and post. So I also think that somewhere, if we're gonna go with this, that somewhere in there, it should say, if, you know, in the event of, you know, technological issues,
I'm
you know.
amenable to anything, but the video recording versus the audio recording only, which is then locked behind a firewall, that really has to change.
I mean,
What do you mean by locked behind a firewall?
I can go review that audio 9 to 3, Monday to Friday.
Point one, you're saying.
Yeah, the point one.
He's saying like
I
it's
do
not
think that
readily
that's probably a
available,
moot point,
like
and
he's
really
gotta call in that,
part
make
of
an
the policy
appointment,
is
Oh,
has to listen to it in some place in here.
Nobody is,
But that-
but that's the only
that
way
link
to
Yeah,
do it.
yeah, I think, yeah, and that's part of it too.
So my big concern is requiring live streaming for all meetings, because technology is just that, technology, and it's fallible. And I don't wanna not be able to pay our teachers, or pay bills, or approve items that we have to approve. We only meet once a month. We need to be able to do our work, even if it's only just video recorded or audio recorded. We need to be able to have the meeting, because we can't have the meeting if we don't have
We're
a public space.
requiring,
Is that something that can be fixed in the language? To require it while technologically available?
Yes, and I think we could also add, try to add language that says something like, but under no circumstance shall the board's inability to abide by the policy prevent the board from,
There you go.
moving forward with the meeting, something like that.
Perfect.
And honestly, with litigation, it's so frustrating, because as lawyers, we try to figure out what the law is, and obviously we look at like the written law, but then we also have to look at the cases that interpret it. But then at the end of the day, it can change at the next case, and if that case is ours, and it changes, so, you know, and it used to be, and I think it should be, that the board policies don't really matter so much in terms of, is the action you take going to be challengeable by someone, and things like that. But there was a case not that long ago where a board appointed someone to fill a vacant spot, and they didn't follow their board policy in terms of doing public interviews of the candidates, and then and the way they did it, and largely as a result of that, the court ended up overturning that person's appointment like 6 months later. So it's not, there's always the risk of, well, if the policy says we're not supposed to go forward, and we still, you know, are we gonna miss the bill paying? But then there's also the other point of, well, if we go forward and we ignore the policy, are we then opening ourselves up to challenge and things like that? But
As a
we can
legal
try to
counsel,
do
you
language.
can try and work the language out to make that work, correct?
Yes.
Have you seen any, litigation or con to live stream versus video? And I think of that as like, when they live stream something on television, and there's like a catastrophe or something that happens, and then there's people viewing that live, and I don't know if that would even be allowed to be taken out if that were a video, but I'm just saying, like, the 5-minute rule, or the 1 hour rule after the meeting, to me, there's not something tragic or something like that. I don't know.
Right, I don't know about that issue. I mean, I suppose that that's always a possibility. I think more realistic, more practical is, I've been at board meetings where all of a sudden the room starts to fill up halfway through public comment on one of these, because people are watching at home and they don't like what they've seen, or they wanna, and it can
That has
create,
happened here.
you know,
It has
issues.
happened here.
Yeah, so, I think another practical consideration, but this probably has to do with video and live streaming perhaps equally, is if people have something to say to the board, but they might be shy and they might be nervous, are they less likely to do it if they think that the whole community is gonna be able to go and replay it over and over again afterwards, than if it's just live and, you know, restrict the people in the room? But that's obviously,
I get
it's
that.
not just live stream.
Initially, these meetings were not video recorded. And one, you know, I was fully on board for that because I wanted these meetings to be a very open dialogue, whereas I know it's a public meeting and people can come, but I myself was more open to asking questions, more comfortable. Now I'm on the board a couple years, so I don't mind the video, but it did help me initially have those conversations because I didn't feel like, oh, the world is watching me if I ask this simple question.
And as you mentioned, that's one of my concerns with the live streaming. You know, because, number one, personally, I think that I know we all have kids and lives and jobs and all of these things, but I feel like if there is something that you feel that strongly about, you're going to make it a priority to come to a meeting live so that you have an opportunity to speak at the podium or just hear what others are saying. But one of my concerns is that when you're live streaming, like you said, something is said and then all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, I gotta go to that meeting now so I can, you know, get up there and say what everybody else just said. So I'm not really for or totally against it, but I do have concerns about the whole live streaming situation.
There's at least one other point I just wanted to raise, which is, it talks about after 24 month minimum, the recordings may be removed only after summary or verbatim transcripts have been approved as minutes, and only if permission. So that's the part, and I'm not sure if that's intending to be different than what the typical minutes are, or just that it should be a minute, that there should be approved minutes for that meeting.
Okay, so my intent there was just to keep the video up for a reviewable amount of time, where things need to be referenced going back to 2 years ago, whatever it might be. I just took the current for government records and included it in that.
I think if you look at the current policy under electronic recording, it says IT department shall make an audio recording of each board meeting, and then it says the recording shall be uploaded to the district website. I think that wording is
Yes,
the
it says
same
until either
as
summary or verbatim
what's here.
transcript.
It's just further down, and so it looks different, if that makes sense.
Either way, I think so, I mean, you guys approve minutes, they're not transcripts, either summary, I mean, I guess you could say it's a summary in a sense, but it's not, and.
I'll be
Yeah.
fair to the minutes that we approve, and that takes very good minutes. Like, I'm often quoted out in everything I've said.
Yeah. I would just delete that part of it, that, about maybe removed,
Only after minutes are approved?
yeah, and honestly, if it's 24 months, if you've got the video up for 24 months, it should be a complete moot issue at that point.
I like it.
Whether,
So, I guess I'm concerned about the 24 months. But that's just my opinion.
What is just out of curiosity, what is the concern? Just because that'll help me with my thought process.
So I'm trying to figure out why we need to go back 2 full years on like a meeting like tonight. You know,
Is it
Aaron, do you know,
Storage though?
do you know if
Well,
there's
no,
like
the
a
YouTube
kind
accounts
of,
are all that is
um,
storage.
Records
I'm looking
retention
for.
schedule,
no, just like a,
best practice.
yes, that, other boards do, as far as if they keep their, is there like a time frame? I know, Martin, you said a reasonable time frame. So to you, 24 months, that's your opinion of a reasonable time frame,
Right.
fine, fair. So is there like a standard almost that most boards use?
No,
Or
not
something,
that
no.
I'm aware of,
Does Strauss Esme have guidance?
not that I'm aware of, in terms of retention periods for videos. And again, it's not really retention, it's posting
Right,
time, it's the
because-
amount of time that it's posted.
Because we're not
online.
saying we're destroying it, we're
Yes,
just
we're
saying
just not
that
making it
it's being
available.
removed from,
And we're not making it readily available
Correct.
on a website or
so
whatever platform.
I will say that this came up because there was a variety of people who said derogatory things about staff members. And
And then it lives for however long.
it lives for 2 years potentially under this, of people being able to go back
Yeah.
about
And that's like-
somebody's personal opinion about somebody who works for our district, and we,
That
as
hurts
board
the morale
members,
of the
are
employees,
supposed to
yeah.
support our staff. So
And
that
was
that
explained
makes
to me,
me,
made perfect sense.
that makes
I never
me,
took
that
that
makes
into
me
account
nervous.
until that situation occurred, and then I realized, wait a minute, that guy was completely,
And and
in
my
my
other
opinion.
question is, like you said, what is somebody going back looking for 2 years ago? And not to say it's not available, because it still exists, it's just not on the website. So if there really is something they wanna see from 3 years ago, once we start all our recordings and say it's 3 years from now, they can still see it, it's just not, they just won't be on the website, like hosted.
Sure,
Right.
but it's right now very draconian to even get to hear what we're saying. But you can't remove 0168.1 without providing some way to make it accessible, which I thought
No,
I
I'm
was
just saying
doing here.
I'm just talking to the point of the time frame,
Mhm.
right? So, say we made it 6 months or whatever. We're not saying that people still can't have access as far back as 2 years ago. It's just not something they can click really quickly and get to. They would have to contact the school to get that.
And how would
So
the
I'm just-
school provide it to them?
Well, so that's something we have to
Now,
talk
yeah.
about. I'm just
Well, it would
talking
just
about
be-
the time frame, like the time frame of the 24 months that you said. I'm just giving a different
No, I'm fine.
opinion and saying, maybe there's a time frame we need to all kind of come to an agreement on. That was my point.
So, in terms of how people would access, it's Oprah. It's Oprah.
It's Oprah.
Yeah, so it's operable. If it's a, government record, if it's a record that you guys are keeping in the normal course of business and you retain it, then it's gonna be subject to Oprah. So, that's the answer, that if somebody wants a recording of a video, a recording of a meeting, that it's not, and it is available online, then that's a sufficient answer to that Oprah request, which is just to say, it's available here.
Which cuts
Right,
down on the
period.
network.
Whereas if it's not available online, then you can just send a link to it or a copy of the file, whatever it might be.
There is no link and copy of the video file.
Well, it could be like to a share file, like if you
Right.
upload it to box.com or whatever.
See?
I learn new
This
things
is,
every day.
this is things the public wouldn't even know
Or
about.
Google's, whatever you guys.
Yeah, Google Drive or
Google
whatever,
Drive, yeah. So-
Well, there is quite a bit, this is quite a bit to read. I know that a lot of it is the same too.
Yep.
So I think this is a good basis for a discussion. I think that if anybody wants to go home and read this versus what the current policy is, which you can find on our policy, and then we can also revisit tomorrow as ongoing business,
Absolutely.
so that we can,
So
move forward.
Can I?
Yeah, give your opinions now so people can have,
No,
people have
it's-
those to
I
think
wanna-
about
I wanna
too.
move to a different section, which I
Okay.
don't believe you made any changes to at all, which was the recording by the public.
Oh,
Yes.
actually,
Yeah, no, that is exactly, yes.
Yeah,
In
I
the
didn't
protocol.
see any
I
changes
was
in
gonna
there,
bring
but
that
I
up too, I
didn't,
forgot.
I didn't read every single word.
there should be a section that is about recording by board members from the dais.
I agree, yeah. So we talk about in this that you have to be as far away as the public seating. And
But that's specifically, so
For the
the
public.
policy is specific to the public.
correct.
So I think that we need to also put in
So
information
if we're gonna
about
update
board members.
this policy / bylaw,
Mhm.
I think we need to review, when a recording is taken from our dais, and especially if it is within any earshot of attorney-client privilege that may be overheard.
So, I mean, personally, if we're discussing that part of it, we say, make the topic, this says recording by the public. So if we say recording by board members. So I'm not opposed to having a board member record. I don't think that the recording device should be at the dais. It should be set up in the area of public seating, just like it says for the public.
Correct.
And then they can take it home and do it. I'm not opposed to them having it, I just don't think that they should do it from this table.
And you guys didn't give me a heads up about this.
Sorry.
I'm kind of shooting from my
Sorry.
hip,
It
but,
It made
you know,
me
I-
think about it.
I'll say this, with just hearing it and thinking about it, which is that if a board member, and I don't think I've ever dealt with it, but if a board member would make a recording from the dais in the middle of a board meeting, what happens if somebody submits an Oprah request for that recording? Is it not a public record because it's not made during the board member's performance of their official duties on the dais in the course of their?
It absolutely is, and the gentleman in question knows that and has it permanently hosted.
So, and
But see,
That's-
to that point, it was it was being live streamed, and if I were to lean over to you as the board attorney, and the person was sitting here and could hear me say to you a question, that's
Or,
client
yeah,
attorney
in the
privilege.
proximity of being
Not
able
in a
to hear.
public meeting, you have attorney-client privilege directly speaking with your legal attorney.
Correct,
the
but if,
board's.
but if I am,
He can
if I
clarify
am the
points
vice
in the
president
public.
and asking him a question
That could
at
be
a meeting,
Mhm.
that he needs to either answer or not answer, and it's being live streamed out, and my question can be heard.
Publicly in a public meeting? Yes, it can be heard
Well,
publicly.
but I think the question is,
No, but
if
the
it
question
can't
is,
be
if
held
it can't be heard
by
at
the
the public,
Yep.
then it shouldn't be heard on the video.
I mean, the microphones make sure it's heard by the public.
But
Well, no, but it's,
I
so
can
there's a
turn that
reason.
off, and Danielle and I can have a
And
conversation.
turn mine off and turn his
Yeah.
off and
No, I mean, but there's a reason I sit next to
Yeah.
the board president, because
Yes.
often during meetings, I'm asked to give
Counsel,
advice
yes,
and counsel.
absolutely.
And sometimes there are issues that need to be considered by the whole board, and I need to give advice on, and we have to go to executive session and have those conversations.
Right.
But then there's other times when it might be just be a procedural type thing, and often the board president is the point of contact, so that we just have kind of off the record conversations. Sometimes I press the mute button,
Yeah.
often, depending on where I am, and so yes, if there's a board member who's streaming or recording, but whatever it is, and it ends up broadcasting or caching, now, I would say at the very least, the board member ought to give everyone a heads up, and so that I and everyone else knows that that's happening, so they can but also, and I haven't researched this, but if a board member, I'm just trying to think it through, if a board member is taking this action during a board meeting, and is videoing, much less broadcasting to what, to their personal page, I'm concerned
No,
for that board.
to a public official page.
What does that mean?
He has a public official page.
It's a page that says that he's a board member.
Well, I don't know that any single board member, I don't think that just because you put and I haven't seen the page, if it just says public official page, that doesn't make it official or necessarily public.
No, it says board member, Middlesex board member.
Right, so, but I understand that board members often have social media that they use for their kind of board business or as a board member. That doesn't make it an official
Correct.
government, and in a way, that's kind of the issue that I'm potentially spotting here, is that
That's always
if an
been my concern.
individual board member is taking this action during a board meeting and it's not approved by the board, it certainly seems to me that there might be a claim that they're taking personal action, or they're using their board position for some kind of personal action, or whether it's political gain or whatever else that might be. So I think I tend to agree that a board member doesn't sacrifice their First Amendment rights by being on a board, and to the extent that the ability to record a meeting and is connected to that, okay, but to do it from your position, you're literally the dais, and like in your role as you're performing the function, you know, that's only the Ethics Commission actually has the authority or the, so, but.
I can
yeah.
tell you that on the part of council, the legal reviewed it, and it was totally legal, because as an elected official, you do not sacrifice your First Amendment right.
But I also spoke to NJSBA about this, and again, I don't know if this is completely accurate information, but they did say that, like, as in recording by the public, they're not giving up their First Amendment right? So it's the same way, if you don't have it, do you have it in your policy, right? In your policy, we're not saying you can't do it, we're giving you guidelines for how you have to do it and
Yeah.
where you can do it from.
Yeah.
So that's my point. I'm not sitting here saying, no, you can't do it. I'm saying that it needs to be set up in the public viewing area, so that, you could take it home, you have it when we're done, whatever. But I think that should be added here.
Well, I would issue the same challenge that was issued to me with this. You guys come together, write it, and then present it to the
No, and
board.
I know, that's why when Sharon brought it up, I said, that was on my brain too. And that's why I said, people can take it home, compare it against what's currently there, bring your own opinions, ideas, thoughts on it. If you have anything tonight, opinions, ideas, thoughts to share for us to consider as we all kind of go through what maybe we want to change or update.
I just wanted to add, we spoke about this before, it living on the webpage is concerning when you are evaluating administrators. My question to the board is, when does an administrator, or not even an administrator, when anyone that works for the district, when do they ever get to present their side, their perspective, whatever someone is complaining about? When do they ever get that opportunity to the public?
They're welcome
So-
to come to the meeting and give their side. The
That's
public
Not
meeting.
if it's about a student.
No,
But
nobody's
if a
saying
parent
the
comes here
student.
and makes an accusation against the teacher,
Yeah,
the teacher coming back to defend themselves is commenting about a student.
okay, that's reasonable.
Yeah, and that's, I think in general about recording, not just live streaming, but something kind of crazy happens and it's on video, the chance that it gets picked up in the press and gets circulated is a lot greater than if it's not on video and isn't recorded, so.
We're talking about affecting someone's life.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between professional and personal. And I think that needs to be taken into consideration.
I think that maybe maybe we need to come to an agreement on how long we think something lives on there.
Again, as long as it can be open, I'm fine with what is there.
I mean, because
Day
currently,
or
right now, it's a month, right? So like last month
It's until the minutes, exactly, until the minutes are produced, are approved. So usually after the minutes are approved,
we've had our meeting and the next one goes up
correct, the
anyway.
next one goes up.
So
and-
one
Middle
month
sex,
replaces
nobody's
the
hiding
next month.
anything.
Correct.
Okay.
I learned a
Food
new
for
word
thought.
tonight, dais. I looked it up.
Me too.
It was said like 5 times, I'm like, I'm figuring out what it means.
I know you said it, I'm sorry.
I was learning it too.
I Googled it.
So food for thought, if you want to go.
Plastic table.
The plastic,
Yeah.
Let's continue tomorrow.
yeah. Sounds good.
And it's not gonna be voted on tomorrow, right? It'll
No,
just-
no.
No.
No. I think
That,
Oh,
that
forgot about
costs
that.
money.
Forgot about that part.
That costs money.
Hold on. Okay, we don't need to go into exec, so I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
My bad, I forgot about that. I was ready to just go home.
Thank you.
Dr. Payne wants to clean this up, or